Chapter 2715 How strange. Zhu Qing didn't move, she stood firmly on the space magic circle, with a calm expression on her face, as if what she just beat up was not a demon king, but a small demon. Mei Mo turned, stared at Xie Wuwu and said, "Are you going to teach me a lesson?" Xie Wuwu's forehead was dripping with cold sweat, and he shook his head like a rattle. With a smile on his face, Ying Fei bowed and said, "Have a good journey, my lords." Yang Kai rubbed his forehead, looked at Zhu Qing helplessly, and then urged the space magic circle to teleport away. After a long while, Xie Wuwu poked Ying Fei with lingering fear, and asked cautiously, "That girl, what's her background?" Head-to-head with Xile, knocking him away with a single punch, not to mention human beings, the idle demon king doesn't have this strength, right? Could it be another holy spirit? Ying Fei's mouth squirmed, and he spit out two words softly. Xie Wuwu listened dumbfounded. ... It was cold and snowy. Yang Kai just appeared from the space law formation of Bingxin Valley, and saw someone sticking his ass in front of him, lying on the base of the space law formation, studying something intently, while still muttering words to the two people behind him. Nobody noticed. Isn't this the South Gate Army? The entire Bingxin Valley is full of women, but the person in front of him is a man, and his back is so familiar, how could Yang Kai not recognize it? Yang Kai frowned and listened for a while, but couldn't understand what he was talking about, so he couldn't help asking, "What are you doing?" "Don't make noise, don't make noise." Nanman Daijin didn't turn his head, still maintained that posture, and let out a low voice impatiently. But soon, as if he remembered something, he stood up and turned to look at Yang Kai. Looking at each other, Yang Kai was shocked, only to see the other party's disheveled face. His eyes were red, as if he was a demon. On the contrary, the Nanman army looked happy. Immediately rushed forward, whispered, "Master Yang, you are back, I have been waiting for you for a long time." "Wait for me?" Yang Kai was amazed. "Wait for me to do something?" The army of the South Gate said enthusiastically, "Wait until you and I discuss the formation method together, let's go and find a place to have a good chat." "What can I talk to you about?" Yang Kai rolled his eyes. The army of the South Gate said seriously, "Master Yang can't say that. The way of formation is profound and has a long history. As the saying goes, stones from other mountains can be used to attack jade. You and I can learn from each other, and it will be beneficial to each other." "But I don't want to." The South Gate army was stunned. Yang Kai glanced at the space magic circle on the ground, and said indifferently, "You can't research this space magic circle, can you?" The South Gate army blushed, shook his head and said, "How is it possible? Although this magic circle is amazing, I have also studied its structure and operation principle. It won't take long for me to crack it and rearrange one." "Okay, then you continue to work hard." Yang Kai patted his shoulder. "Turn around and leave." Wait. The Nanman army grabbed Yang Kai's clothes. "Let go." Yang Kai turned his head and glared at him. The Nanman army looked distressed, bowed their heads and said, "Master Yang's gaze is like a torch, this space magic circle. I really can't find many tricks, please. Master Yang to clarify. Let go first." Yang Kai stared at the clothes caught by him. The South Gate army then let go, with a flattering smile on their face, but they put on a posture to grab Yang Kai at any time, as if they were afraid that he would run away. Reaching out to flick the pleated shirt, Yang Kai squinted at him and said, "Want to learn?" The Nanman army nodded repeatedly, like chickens pecking at rice. A thirst for knowledge shone in his eyes. "I can teach you." Yang Kai smiled slightly. The army of the South Gate immediately looked solemn, straightened their robes, and bowed to the ground. "Master Yang, please accept my worship." "But what can you give me?" Yang Kai asked back. Nanman Daijin smiled wryly. "What do you want?" "I have a lot of source crystals in my hand." "I have a lot of source crystals," Yang Kai said disdainfully. "Then, I will use other formations to exchange with you. I have some formations that have been handed down from ancient times. They are infinitely powerful and unpredictable." "Not interested in," the army of the South Gate said with a mournful face. "Then what do you want?" Yang Kai stroked his chin and said to himself, "At the beginning of my establishment of Lingxiao Palace, I just needed a chief formation master." The South Gate army's expression changed upon hearing this. Shaking his head incessantly, he said, "This can't be done, I've always been used to lonely clouds and wild cranes. If I really enter the sect, I'm afraid it will cause trouble for Master Yang and Guizhong." "Forget it." Before he could finish speaking, Yang Kai turned around and left. Master Yang, please speak up if you have something to say. The South Gate army wanted to grab Yang Kai's clothes again. Think about it yourself, everything is natural, I won't force it. Yang Kai swayed, and quickly ran away. Although both of them were at the first level of Emperor Senior, but the South Gate army majored in formations. How could he be his opponent? Staring at Yang Kai's back, the South Gate army couldn't help stamping their feet with annoyed expression. In Bingxin Valley, there are birds everywhere, and the fragrance of wintersweet. Although Bingxin Valley suffered a catastrophe last time, after being reborn from the ashes, it has added a sense of cohesion. Wherever it goes, most of the female disciples are practicing and learning from each other, strive to improve strength. After seeing Yang Kai, they all saluted respectfully, saying that they had seen Mr. Yang. They all seemed to recognize Yang Kai. After all, it was Yang Kai who turned the tide last time and saved Bingxin Valley from the dire straits. Many disciples have seen Yang Kai's true face, even if they haven't seen it with their own eyes, they have all seen his image. Looking at him at this moment, he is really young, handsome, with a majestic figure, so he can't take his eyes off him. The more daring ones, the bright and charming glances continued, which made Yang Kai feel overwhelmed. Even though Bingxin Valley is good, but after all, they are all women, and their yin and yang have weakened a bit. Many female disciples have lived in the valley since they were young, and have never left Bingxin Valley. They have never even seen what a man looks like. When the Lingxiao Palace grows stronger in the future, maybe it can be married to Bingxingyu. There are many beautiful women in Bingxingyu, and no man loves them, which is quite pitiful. This is a good idea, Senior Bingyan would not refuse it, after all, Bingxingyu itself can't help marrying. Those who just get married are no longer Bingxin Valley disciples. Walking to the corridor of the central hall, a figure flashed in front of him, and a dark fragrance hit. A woman with a cold face suddenly appeared in front of Yang Kai, nodded at him and said, "When did you come back?" "Just came back. I heard that you have something to do with me." Yang Kai looked at Ji Yao and asked. "Master is looking for you," Ji Yao said, looking at the follower behind Yang Kai, wondering, this is. She saw that Zhu Qing was petite, but her figure was plump. The face is even more stunning, and I can't help but feel a little bit of comparison in my heart. It has only been a few months since Yang Kai went out, and he brought back a stunning woman, and it seems that the two are still very close. Otherwise, how could he bring her to Bingxin Valley? Inexplicably, I was a little annoyed. Don't worry about her. Yang Kai didn't bother to introduce Zhu Qing to her, the identity of Dragon Girl was too shocking. Ji Yao glanced at Yang Kai, lost her previous intimacy, suddenly became a little indifferent, and said casually, "Come with me." He didn't even bother to introduce himself, and he became so strange after not seeing him for a few months. Or maybe it's because of a new love. Turn around and lead the way. Yang Kai quickly caught up and said, "How are you doing recently?" Ji Yao replied indifferently, "I'm sorry for your troubles, everything is fine." Feeling the coldness, Yang Kai scratched his head inexplicably. He simply didn't say a word, so as not to make trouble for himself. When he arrived in front of a palace, Yang Kai paused, looked back at Zhu Qing and said, "You wait, I have something to discuss with Senior Bing Yun." Zhu Qing looked at him distrustfully. "You won't take the opportunity to run away, will you?" Yang Kai sneered. "I didn't do anything wrong, why did I run away?" Zhu Qing then nodded slightly and stood there quietly. Ji Yao glanced at the two of them, and suddenly the corner of her mouth twitched. After entering the main hall, he really saw Bing Yun, with several disciples serving him. It seems to be discussing something. Yang Kai stepped forward to salute. Bing Yun smiled and said, "They are not outsiders, you don't have to be polite, sit down." Yang Kai sat next to him and asked about Lu Shanyan's situation. Knowing that she has been practicing in seclusion recently, preparing for the impact on the third level of Daoyuan, I feel very relieved. Although Lu Shanyan is from the Great Desolation Starfield, after all, he has shared adversity, lived and died with him, and has a friendship with him. She was able to enter Bingxin Valley thanks to Yang Kai's recommendation, so naturally she should pay more attention. But then again, Lu Shanyan is a martial artist from the lower plane star field, with outstanding aptitude and talent. As long as the cultivation resources can keep up, promotion to the emperor is almost a sure thing. In terms of face, or in terms of Lu Shanyan's excellent qualifications, he will spare no effort in cultivating her. "Have you returned to the southern territory recently?" Bing Yun asked. She remembered that when Yang Kai came to say goodbye last time, he said that he was going back to the Southern Territory. Well, I went back. Ji Yao came over with tea, put it in front of Yang Kai, and said lightly, I also brought back a woman, brother, don't you need to ask her to come in and introduce her to the master? Maybe we will come and see often in the future. Bing Yun looked at Ji Yao in astonishment, and several seniors and sisters also had strange expressions, and they always felt that Ji Yao had an inexplicable hostility all over her body today. A lot of divine thoughts swept out, and sure enough, they noticed a woman standing outside the hall. Bing Yun said, the visitor is a guest, Yang Kai, why do you let her stay outside alone? Senior, don't worry about her, that person is very troublesome. Yang Kai couldn't explain clearly. Ji Yao said, Senior brother must have done something to offend her, that's why he is so afraid of her. I'm afraid of her. Yang Kai was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, his hair all over, what a joke. Ji Yao stared at Yang Kai and said, that is to say, did senior brother really do something that I'm sorry for? No way, stop talking nonsense. Yang Kai blushed, quickly picked up the cup, and drank water to cover up his embarrassment. Ruian and the others looked at the words and expressions, looked at each other, and nodded slightly, as if they had noticed something. Ji Yao sneered and said, that's true. Then she said seriously, brother, if you start messing with any woman and end up abandoning you, I will definitely ignore you in the future. Yang Kai took a sip of tea and called out to Ku, it's nothing, Yaoer, why are you acting weird today? To be continued. P.S. Take one medicine an hour before a meal, another medicine half an hour before a meal, and another medicine after a meal. That is to say, you need to take 3 medicines for a meal, and you need to take another medicine before going to bed. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. 720. Chapter 2716 Chifuray Mage. Ji Yao ignored her, turned around and threw Yang Kai the back of his head. Yang Kai put down his teacup, didn't know what to say, he was speechless, turned his head to look at Bing Yun, changed the subject and said, Senior, what do you want me to do? Bing Yun nodded and said, do you know the 2 sects of Tianzong and Lilong Palace? I seem to have heard of it. Yang Kai frowned and thought for a while, then stroked his palm and said, sect of the Northern Territory. He hasn't been active in the Northern Territory for a long time, and the scope of his activities is not large. He doesn't know much about the South Territory, so he doesn't know much about most of the situation in the Northern Territory. What he knows best is Bingxin Valley and Wenqingzong. At first I heard Tianzong and Lilong Palace didn't react, but after thinking about it carefully, I immediately remembered that the background and strength of these 2 major sects don't need to ask how much difference is made between the Qing sect. They are also the top sects in the Northern Territory. Emperor Zun's 3-layer mirror powerhouse sits in town. Yang Kai frowned and said, Senior suddenly mentioned these 2 major sects, is there anything that needs attention? Now that I am establishing a sect in the Northern Territory, since Tianzong and Lilong Palace are also the top sects in the Northern Territory, they will definitely have to deal with each other in the future, and there may be some competition and friction. They are no better than Bingxin Valley. Bingxin Valley has a very deep relationship with Yang Kai, and it is impossible to have a conflict. Bingyan said, looking at the entire star world, there is the Yuewen Palace in the eastern region, the Star God Palace in the southern region, and the Shadow Killing Palace in the western region. These great emperor sects bowed their heads, obeyed orders, and obeyed the jurisdiction, but there is no great emperor sect in our Northern Territory. Why is this? Yang Kai wondered. He hadn't considered this before, but now he heard Bing Yun say this, and suddenly realized that it was true. Bing Yun shook his head and said, I don't know, maybe many places in the northern region are too cold, not as rich in supplies as other places, so it is not suitable for establishing a sect. But there is also a great emperor, and that is Emperor Miao Dan. Yang Kai nodded slightly, he knew about this matter. Emperor Miao Dan has lived in the Medicine Pill Valley in the Northern Territory all year round. Having said that, he has also received the inheritance left by Gongsun Mu, the 3rd disciple of Emperor Miao Dan. It was because of the jade slips and various alchemy formulas left by Gongsun Mu that Yang Kai was able to do so like a fish in water on the way of alchemy. However, when he obtained the inheritance, he was penetrated by a restriction set by Gongsun Mu. If he wanted to remove the restriction, he had to practice the 3-layer mirror of Emperor Zun within 100 years, or go to Emperor Miaodan to remove it. Gongsun Mu's move was just to let Yang Kai pass a message to Emperor Miao Dan, telling him that he knew his mistake, and asked Emperor Miao Dan to put him back into the gate wall. It's just that the ban has not caused any harm to Yang Kai for so many years, so he ignored it. Anyway, the time limit of 100 years is very long, and he is also confident that he can cultivate to the 3-layer mirror of Emperor Senior within 100 years. Naturally, there is no need to bother the Emperor Miao Dan. Bingyan said, for so many years, the 4 top sects in the Northern Territory have maintained a balance. My palace has been missing for many years. Although Bingxin Valley has been suppressed, it has managed to maintain it anyway. But now, this balance it was broken. The broken balance is undoubtedly the exterminated Wenqing sect. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows and said, so what? Bing Yun chuckled, and said, for me, Bingxin Valley, of course it's nothing. Asking the emotion sect to destroy my Bingxin Valley, but being destroyed is also my own fault, but for MI Tianzong and Lilong Palace, there is a problem, eh? Yang Kai looked ruthless, and said, are they still looking for trouble? Bing Yun said, if you can destroy Wenqing sect, you may not be able to destroy Mission sect and Lilong Palace. It is normal for them to worry. What do they want? Join forces against me? Bing Yun smiled and said, the lips are dead and the teeth are cold, but it is normal to hold a group to keep warm. Recently, their 2 sects are getting very close, and there may be some actions. Yang Kai sneered. They really don't worry that I will kill them. Bing Yun said solemnly, people make money and birds die for food. You destroyed the Wenqing sect, and gained a foundation as large as the Wenqing sect and tens of thousands of years of storage. Everyone would be jealous, but it's not necessarily true, maybe it's just to unite so that you are afraid. In case you are ambitious and want to unify the Northern Territory. I don't have that kind of thought. Yang Kai shook his head, he left Wenqing sect's foundation only for the people of his homeland. How could he think about unifying the Northern Territory? Without the prestige of the great emperor, it is impossible to do such a thing. Bing Yun called Yang Kai over just to remind him, there was no other meaning, seeing that he had his own plans, naturally he didn't say much. Yang Kai suddenly seemed to think of something, and said, the last time I asked Qing sect to embarrass Bing Xinggu, did these 2 great sects contribute? Bing Yun looked at him and asked back, what do you think? Yang Kai had a clear head, knowing that even if the 2 major sects didn't contribute, they might be contributing to the flames secretly. Otherwise, if you ask how the Qing sect recruited so many helpers at once, maybe among those people are disciples from 2 major sects. It's really abominable. If I knew it, I wouldn't let them go so easily, I should have checked them carefully. Both Mi Tianzong and Lilong Palace are the top sects in the Northern Territory, so they should have a lot of reserves. It is normal for the major sects to fight openly and secretly. They helped Wen Qingzong to destroy Bingxin Valley, and they obviously didn't care about any balance. Now that they have occupied Wen Qingzong's territory and showed strength, they are worried. Just don't mess with me. If you mess with me, I will make you look good. Yang Kai secretly felt ruthless. After staying in Bingxin Valley for a while, Yang Kai said goodbye and left. When he greeted Ji Yao, he didn't get a response, which made Yang Kai quite depressed, not knowing how he offended her. Walking out of the main hall, there was snowflakes floating outside. Zhu Qing was completely covered in silver, and she was not blocked by the Emperor Yuan, and there was a snowman as tall as a person at her feet, which was extremely ugly. You've been standing here. Yang Kai looked at her curiously, even though he told her to wait here, he didn't let her stand still. Zhu Qing didn't answer, pointing at the ugly snowman next to him, said, this is you. It's your uncle. Yang Kai gave her a white look, kicked the snowman into pieces, and left with his hands behind his back. Zhu Qing turned around and followed. Back in front of the space magic circle on the small island in the ice lake, the South Gate army was still waiting there, looking hesitant. Yang Kai said unhappily, if you are a man, be decisive, mother-in-law and mother will never become a master. The Nanman army said angrily, I am a grand master of a generation of formations, how could you put me down like this? Yang Kai sneered, pointing at the space formation and said, if you set up one, I will admit that you are the master of the formation. The army of the South Gate instantly misfired, their faces flushed red. Yang Kai said impatiently, forget it, I don't need you as a half-baked formation mage in Lingxiao Palace. Turning around and stepping on the space magic circle. The clothes were suddenly seized by the South Gate army. Yang Kai turned his head to look at him, the South Gate army blushed, raised a finger, and said, 10 years. I will leave Lingxiao Palace in 10 years. Yang Kai sneered, Are you still bargaining with me? It's only 10 years. It's fine if it's more. Nanman Daijin looked resolute. Okay, 10 years is 10 years. Come up. Yang Kai waved. The Nanman army sighed heavily, and stood on the space magic circle dejectedly, feeling a sense of being betrayed for no reason, not to mention how depressed they were. Returning to the Lingxiao Palace again, I didn't see the 3 demon kings, and I didn't know where to go to have fun. There is not even a guard beside the space magic circle. This made Yang Kai frown. Although the space magic circle he arranged would generally not cause any problems, let alone being invaded by people, but at least there should be someone guarding it here. There must be a housekeeper. Several people's faces flashed in Yang Kai's mind, and he secretly made a decision. Find a place to live by yourself. Yang Kai told the South Gate army. Nanman Daijin nodded and said, by the way, Palace Master, what kind of status am I in Lingxiao Palace? Chief Formation Master, didn't I tell you? Yang Kai waved his hand and said, when you have nothing to do, walk around and see where the formations need to be consolidated and maintained, or need to be rearranged, just let go for. Okay, okay, Nanman Daijin nodded violently. Yang Kai turned around again, pointed at Zhu Qing and said, you, don't follow me. The law of space is ups and downs, and people disappear in a flash. Zhu Qing stomped her feet and swept her spiritual mind, but she couldn't even notice where Yang Kai had gone. Arriving at the palace of the main peak, Yang Kai stepped inside and sat cross-legged. Although the number of people in Lingxiao Palace is small now, it has gained some popularity anyway. The most important thing is that the way of puppets and the way of formation have been established. When the disciples from the homeland come over in the future, they can learn these 2 skills, in the long run, are of great benefit to both the development of Lingxiao Palace itself and the growth of its disciples. As for the 10-year period mentioned by the Nanman army, Yang Kai didn't take it to heart at all. In 10 years, who knows what will happen? When the South Gate army wants to leave, they may not be able to leave. Feeling refreshed, I took out a large number of high-grade source crystals from the space ring and piled them up next to me. Immediately, the room was full of aura, and my strength had reached the Emperor realm. The efficiency of low-grade source crystals and middle-grade source crystals was too low. Crystal is worthy of use. Now Yang Kai has more than 1 billion high-grade source crystals in his hand, which is simply rich, and the loss of cultivation is nothing. There was a crackling sound from the limbs and bones, the flesh and blood in the meridians squirmed, and a large amount of spiritual energy poured into the body, which was refined and absorbed by Yang Kai. Not only that, he also took out the Golden Armor Heavenly Book and concentrated on refining it. This Golden Armor Heavenly Book is very powerful. If it is refined as soon as possible, it will also help to improve its own strength, and there will be many more methods against the enemy in the future, so Yang Kai will naturally not fall behind. It's just that refining this thing is quite laborious, and it can't be refined in a short time. As time passed, Yang Kai breathed in a steady stream of spiritual energy into his body, and Emperor Yuan and Divine Sense were also constantly invading the Golden Armored Book, wanting to leave his own imprint on it. To be continued. Closing parenthesis. Chapter 2717 I am the Tao. This refinement took 3 months. Opening his eyes, Yang Kai had a look of helplessness between his brows. The progress of refining the Golden Armored Heavenly Book is not bad, and now he has imprinted his soul brand on this Emperor treasure, which can stimulate several magical powers in it, although he cannot manipulate the Golden Armored Heavenly Book like Tan Junhao, but finally there are some more means to fight against the enemy. What makes him helpless is his own cultivation. He had already reached the peak of Emperor Senior's first level, and he felt that he had already stepped into the threshold of the second level with 1 foot, and there was only a barrier left, but he just couldn't break in and take a peek. After consuming millions of high-grade source crystals, Di Yuan became stronger and more refined, but his realm remained stagnant. He was not in a hurry, and it was best not to rush into cultivation. He is still young and still has a lot of time. Compared with those emperors who have lived for hundreds or thousands of years, he has unique advantages that others cannot match. The so-called youth is naturally capital, and the time in the future is still long, so there is no rush. So he put aside his cultivation for the time being, and focused his mind on the management of the High Heaven Palace. After all, he is now the Palace Master of the High Heaven Palace. Although he doesn't have many disciples, there are still hundreds of people staying here. As the owner, I should do my best to be a landlord. I should arrange them well to make them feel at home. It is best to let them stay here. I thought so in my heart, but when I really took action, I found that I didn't know where to start. In the past, he founded the Ling Xiaozong on Gloomy Star, and he also let go of it. Everything was handed over to Yi Xian. He got used to throwing his hands away as the shopkeeper, and found that doing this kind of thing by himself was not suitable for him at all. In the end, I decided to go to Chenizong to have a look, maybe I could get some experience from Yi Hen. The Cheni sect now lives on a main peak with a strong aura. There are more than a dozen such main peaks in the entire Lingxiao Palace. Everyone didn't know what the main peak was called before, but now it's called Cheni Peak. The left and right are just the same name, and no one cares. When they arrived at the place, they found that everything was in order. Not a single one of the 500 disciples was free for the cultivation, the sparring, and the refining of puppets. As a senior brother, Du Xian opened an altar on the square of the main peak to teach, explaining the main points and essence of the puppet art, and the disciples of the Chiba sect who were not high in cultivation were fascinated by it. Shaking his head, his eyes were full of worship. Yang Kai listened to it for a while, but he was in a fog, completely unaware of what Du Xian was talking about. It doesn't matter if you don't understand, many of these people may become disciples of Lingxiao Palace in the future. Well, the little fat man who shakes his head is not bad, he is talented and intelligent at first glance, he should have his own opinions on puppet art. When he grows up a bit more, and then lures him for profit and shows him affection, are you afraid that he will worship if he doesn't accept his head? When the time comes to become a disciple of Lingxiao Palace, Yi Hen is afraid that he won't say anything. The voice suddenly stopped, and Du Xian shouted, "Brother Yang." It was discovered by him, Yang Kai didn't hide anything when he came here, and Du Xian would not think that he wanted to steal Chenizong's way of puppet. If Yang Kai really had this intention, when he opened the Emperor Sky Valley for the first time, he could have kept those ancestral secret codes. Yang Kai nodded with a smile and said, "I'll just take a look, you are busy with your work." Many disciples turned their heads, stood up together, and saluted respectfully. "I have seen Master Yang. They are able to practice here, it is entirely thanks to Yang Kai's blessing, and they also know that Yang Kai is the master of this place, and they live under the fence, how can they be disrespectful to him? Sit and sit." Yang Kai waved his hand, quite embarrassed, it was a sin to disturb their practice by walking around casually. "But I have come here, so I have to express it," coughed lightly, and said, "Are you still used to living here recently?" Du Xian said with a smile, "This place is full of outstanding people and aura, how can you not get used to it?" The disciples don't know how satisfied they are. Many disciples also nodded violently, with bright smiles on their faces. Compared with the original Cheni sect, here is one sky and one earth, and the efficiency of practicing here is much higher. Just get used to it. Yang Kai smiled, "Don't be restrained, just treat this place as your own home. If you treat it as your own home, you won't have the thought of leaving. If you need anything, go to Hua Qingxi, Sister Hua is now the chief steward of my Lingxiao Palace, in charge of all matters." "Thank you, Brother Yang," Du Xian said gratefully. "In the future, there will inevitably be a place to disturb Mrs. Hua." Yang Kai smiled and patted his shoulder. Many disciples were very excited, and felt incredible for Yang Kai's affinity. This person is in the Emperor Senior realm, and he is also the Lord of the First Palace. Looking at him, his eyes became more respectful, and he felt that this is the magnanimity and mind that Emperor Senior realm should have. I heard that those Emperor Senior realm people all have their eyes above the top, and they use their noses to breathe out when they speak. I wish they had eyes on their foreheads above all. The warriors under the Emperor are like ants, taking their lives. It is not worthy to lift the shoes of this Master Yang. By the way," Du Xian clapped his palms suddenly, turned his head to look at the many disciples, and said, "Brothers and sisters, didn't you keep clamoring for me to teach you the experience of cultivation? It's not that I don't want to teach you, it's just senior brother, I am of low strength, I am afraid I will mislead you. Since Brother Yang is here today, how about asking Brother Yang to explain to you? Brother Yang is in the Emperor Prestige realm, and his knowledge is infinitely superior to senior brother and mine, eh?" Everyone was stunned, and then applauded in unison. Yang Kai said dumbly, "But I don't know anything about puppet techniques." Du Xian said with a smile, "Cultivation has nothing to do with puppets. Besides, stones from other mountains can be used to attack jade. I also want to ask Brother Yang to teach me a thing or two, and I hope Brother Yang will not hesitate to teach me." Yang Kai was a little dazed. By the way, why did he come here by himself? Why was he suddenly pushed to the shelves to teach him some cultivation experience? He has just established a friendly image. If he refuses, will the previous efforts be in vain? Master Yang! Master Yang! Master Yang! A group of Chiba sect disciples shouted like a mountain roar and a tsunami, all with anticipation and longing in their eyes. Brother Yang, just talk about it casually. Du Xian begged. Okay. Yang Kai bit the bullet and agreed, then I'll just talk about it. Du Xian was overjoyed and quickly invited Yang Kai to the front, then turned around and sat down, looking up. Looking at the group of martial artists with different cultivation levels below, and scanning the immature faces, Yang Kai couldn't help but feel a little dazed. I have also experienced these stages myself. Along the way, I became stronger step by step, and finally promoted to Emperor Senior stage. But I am different from them. Since I came out of it, I have never had a teacher, no master to teach, and I struggle alone. But, if there is a good teacher and helpful friend on the road of growth, maybe a lot of detours can be avoided. One day, I can actually carve the traces of this good teacher and helpful friend on my body. No matter how much my teaching and explanation today helped them, when they recalled it many years later, they would definitely remember standing in front of them in this vast Lingxiao palace, under the lush Chenny Peak, like a beacon. It guides them the way forward. Suddenly, I feel that my personality has grown a lot. I didn't know what to say at first, but at this moment, my mind suddenly became clearer than ever before, and I said, a warrior cultivates, overcomes thorns and thorns, asks the sky to earn his life. The so-called is just 2 words: martial arts. What is the Tao? The Tao is 50, the Tianyan is 49, and there are 3,000 people in the world who can prove the Tao. They will eventually pass the way. Some people say that soldiers are the way, others say that art is the way, and some people say that flowers, plants and trees are the way, even the ants on the ground are the way. If you want me to say, I am the Tao, and where I am is where the Tao exists. ... The voice is not loud, but it is clearly transmitted to everyone's ears. It seems to have a kind of magical power, which makes people fall into it involuntarily. Following Yang Kai's voice, a magnificent picture scroll slowly spreads in front of everyone. Opening up, sometimes it makes people feel emotional, sometimes it makes people ecstatic, and sometimes it makes people feel helpless. Standing there, Yang Kai is the epitome of thousands of warriors who are pursuing martial arts. In one bright era after another, countless people want to pursue the true meaning. There were less than 100 disciples of Chiba sect who were here originally. But as time went by, the crowd got bigger and bigger, and people kept rushing over when they heard the voice, sat down cross-legged, and listened intently. Half an hour later, there were almost 500 people gathered in front of Yang Kai, and almost all the Chenny sect disciples gathered together, except for a few disciples who were unable to come. So far, although Yang Kai has no teacher to teach him, since he has reached the Emperor Senior realm, he will naturally learn some of his own cultivation experience. However, he did not pass on these cultivation experiences as Du Xian had begged before. Instead, he was eloquent and his thinking was unconstrained. Rather than preaching to these people in front of him, he was explaining his own insights. Looking for the elusive mystery in the language. Some people understood it, their faces were thoughtful. And some people frowned tightly, only thinking that Yang Kai was talking nonsense. And what he said was a mess. It was simply that the donkey head was wrong, but even so, they didn't dare to have the slightest doubt in their hearts, just feeling that his realm is not enough to comprehend. He was secretly annoyed, thinking that the Emperor Prestige realm is indeed the Emperor Prestige realm, and the words spoken can be understood separately, but when put together, they seem mysterious and unpredictable. Go your own way, become your own way, follow the path of others, and you will always be able to chase after someone else's back. Yang Kai wiped his mouth, looked around and said, "Do you understand?" The audience was silent, and no one dared to say that they understood. The aura of heaven and earth suddenly surged, thunder and lightning flashed in the sky, and above Chenny Peak, covered with black clouds, a vortex of aura suddenly formed, and the power of heaven and earth gradually gathered. Hey, someone understands. Yang Kai turned his head to look at the peak, grinning. To be continued. Closing parenthesis. Chapter 2718 Big Gift. Phone reading. Sister Hua, from now on, you will be the chief steward of my Lingxiao Palace, from the elders to the disciples at all levels, all under your jurisdiction, and obey your orders. Yang Kai patted Hua Qingxi's shoulder, looking at her seriously. Please search #AAC1/2 to see the most complete. The fastest updated novel. Hua Qingxi's long eyelashes blinked, a little dazed. Come on, there are 200 million high-grade source crystals in this ring, 3 billion middle-grade source crystals, 10 billion low-grade source crystals, and various materials. You take it first, and these cultivation materials are all it's up to you to schedule. A space ring was stuffed into Hua Qingxi's hand. Wait, Hua Qingxi frowned, looked at Yang Kai and said, when did I become the chief steward of your high heaven palace? She was only aware of the movement on Chenny Peak, and wanted to go over to investigate, but met Yang Kai on the way, and was stopped by him to stuff a space ring with rich supplies, and then said a bunch of inexplicable words. I said it, starting from today. Yang Kai looked at her solemnly, as if he was going to entrust her with the important task of maintaining the peace of the sect and leading the sect to glory. Why do I want to be a big manager? Hua Qingxi said displeased. Yang Kai said sternly, I have also considered it carefully. Looking at the current Lingxiao Palace, no one is more suitable for this position than you. Sister Hua, you can work harder. This is a very important position. Don't worry about it, let this palace master down. What Lingxiao Palace is up and down? Hua Qingxi pouted, there are not many people in total. Excluding the disciples of Chenny sect who borrowed here, in today's Lingxiao Palace, there are only 3 demon kings as the elders of Keqing, Qiyueyu and a few others. Yang Kai scratched his face. Everything is difficult at the beginning, there will be many people in the future. You first practice your hands. Who do you practice with? Hua Qingxi looked at him contemptuously. Yang Kai pointed to Chenny sect. Aren't there hundreds of people over there? He's not from Lingxiao Palace. Not now, maybe not in the future. Yang Kai chuckled. Hua Qingxi looked him up and down, said oh, and said, you still want to poach people's corners. Yang Kai said with a straight face, don't talk nonsense, this kind of despicable behavior is disdainful to do by the palace master. It's just that people go to high places and water flows to low places, which is normal in the world. Disciple of Lingxiao Palace, I can't refuse either. Of course, if you, Sister Hua, can keep the entire Chenny sect, that would be great. Hua Qingxi nodded when she heard the words, what you said is also reasonable. Chenny Yizong's way of puppet is really good. If it can be used by me, it will be a good thing. Yang Kai said happily, you also think it makes sense, right? Then this task will be handed over to you. Okay, anyway, I have nothing to do recently, just try it, but where should I start? Yang Kai nuzzled, didn't I just give you so many source crystals, smash them with source crystals? They have just been destroyed, and they need a lot of source crystals for cultivation. With source crystals, I'm afraid they won't give in. Hua Qingxi took a look at him. Your source crystals were not brought by the strong wind, how could you give them to them for no reason? But if they can make some contributions to Lingxiao Palace, maybe I can reward them with some source crystals, eh? Okay. Yang Kai was overjoyed. Sister Hua had just taken over the position of chief manager, and she immediately entered the state, knowing that she should consider for Lingxiao Palace and herself, and she did not misunderstand the person. Moreover, she was born in the Star God Palace, so she is much more familiar with the management of the great sect than other people. It would be best for her to take charge of the early stage development of Lingxiao Palace. You can do whatever you want, my palace master allows you to do things cheaply. Yang Kai said comfortingly. Hua Qingxi snorted. If I do this well, I will have a reward. If you want the horse to run, you have to let the horse eat grass. Okay, then you can get any reward you want. Yang Kai readily agreed. I remember what you said. Hua Qingxi pursed her lips and smiled, turned her head to look at Chenny Peak, and said, is Yi Hen going to be promoted to emperor? Who else could it be except him? Yang Kai also glanced over. In the sky above Chenny Peak, the energy of the heavens and the earth gathered at this moment, and the dance of mad dragons smashed down. The momentum is amazing. Hua Qingxi wondered. I remember that Yi Hen has only been in seclusion for a long time, why did he suddenly realize something? Perhaps he has gone out of his own way. Yang Kai smiled slightly. My own way, Hua Qingxi said thoughtfully, her eyes flashed. I'll go and have a look, are you going? Yang Kai shook his head. He just came back from there, and knowing Yi Hen's situation, he naturally didn't need to investigate further. But it's good for Hua Qingxi to go and have a look. As the chief steward of Lingxiao Palace, at the critical moment when Yi Hen was promoted to Emperor Senior Realm, it was the moment to sell well and win people's hearts. 5 sacred peaks. Now the main peak where ghost ancestor Kai Yu and others live. The so-called 5 saints are naturally their 5 sworn brothers and sisters with different surnames. Although the whereabouts of Chai Hu are unknown now, Guizhu and others have not forgotten his location. When Yang Kai arrived, the four of them seemed to be practicing in closed doors. When the four of them first met Yang Kai in Tianhe City, they were only at the first level of Daoyuan. After a few years, they practiced in Chenyi sect, and they could reach the peak of the first level of Daoyuan. After all, there is no such a favorable environment for cultivation in Chenyi sect. The environment of the 5 sacred peaks is good, even better than Chenyi Peak. The peaks are extremely high and majestic. Only 4 people live in it, like a dragon returning to the sea, indescribably at ease. The release of Yang Kai's spiritual sense made the 4 people feel it, and they came to a palace on the top of the peak in a flash. Although no one has cleaned it all year round, the palace is still spotless, precisely because of the formation protection. After a short while, figures shot out from outside. Palace Master. The 4 clasped their fists together. Although Kai Yu and Io are strictly considered to be Yang Kai's elders, but since they have already entered the High Heaven Palace, they naturally have to abide by the rules of the High Heaven Palace. Sit. Yang Kai greeted and sat cross-legged on the ground of the hall. The 4 of them glanced at it, but didn't care, and sat on the ground one after another, forming a circle. Yang Kai shook his hand, and the 4 space rings flew towards the 4 of them. There are 20 million high-grade source crystals in each, 100 million middle-grade source crystals, 1 billion low-grade source crystals, and some panacea that I refined. Take them to practice. If not enough, go find Flowers Qingxi, she still has some source crystals. Yang Kai explained. The eyes of all 4 were brightened, and they put away without any hesitation. They are all people who came from the homeland Starfield together with Yang Kai, so there is no need to be polite. However, they were shocked by Yang Kai's generosity, thinking that they have been worrying about cultivation resources all these years. Even if they live in Chenyi sect, they can't get too many cultivation materials, but when they come to Yang Kai, they do everything. It is such a huge number. Compared with him, they are as poor as beggars. With such a large sum of source crystals, they would not be able to use them up even if they practiced for dozens or hundreds of years. They were all very excited, feeling that the pain and hardships have finally come to an end. A few of you came to the Star Realm with me. They have suffered a lot these years, and their cultivation level has dropped. Now we have to hurry up and improve, and ignore other things. Otherwise, when the people from the homeland come over, you guys don't want to be surpassed by them. How is it possible, those brats? Io curled his lips in disdain. In the starfield of the homeland, he is the leading powerhouse. Even if the people from the homeland really come, there is no reason why they will cultivate faster than him. Kai Yu smiled and said, "Second brother, don't talk too much, Yang Kai's cultivation speed is much faster than ours." Io said with an embarrassed expression, "Who can compare with him?" The same star realm that came together, Yang Kai is now at the first level of Emperor Senior, but they are still at the first level of Daoyuan, which is a big difference. Is this all a problem of insufficient cultivation resources? Cultivation, if you want to rush it, you can't rush it. Ji Yu Kangyan smiled wryly. Ghost Ancestor also nodded at the side. Yang Kai Dao, so I have prepared a big gift for everyone. Several people squeezed the space ring on their hands, and asked suspiciously, "Isn't this?" Yang Kai chuckled, stretched out his hand to grab it in the void, and immediately appeared a few large banners with gloomy air on his palms. The yin qi rolled in the banners, and the sound of howling ghosts and wolves came out, making people feel uncomfortable as soon as you appeared. Only Ghost Ancestor's eyes danced like will-o'-the-wisps, and he said in surprise, "This is Yellow Spring Purgatory banner of the Eastern Region Yellow Spring Sect." Yang Kai explained. The Netherworld Purgatory banners in his hand were the trophies confiscated by those who killed the Netherworld sect, and one of them reached the level of Emperor Treasure. It was the relic of the Netherworld sect Elder Hua Feiken, and the remaining few, although they are not Emperor Treasures, they are all at Daoyuan level. Disciples of the Netherworld sect have practiced the Netherworld Purgatory banner with their hearts and minds from the beginning. It can be said that this thing is their secret treasure of life. It's useless to put this thing in the hands of others, but it's different when it's given to Ghost Ancestor. Yang Kai didn't know what the kung fu practiced by the Ghost Ancestor was, but it definitely had the same effect as the Netherworld sect's kung fu. The secret treasure of the Ghost Ancestor was the 10,000 soul banner, which was similar to the Netherworld Purgatory banner. That's why Yang Kai kept these Netherworld Purgatory banners all the time, just waiting to hand them over to Ghost Ancestor one day to help him improve his strength. Tremblingly, he took the hellish spring purgatory banners from Yongkai's hand. The ghost aura on Guizu's body suddenly became stronger, and the eyes that danced like ghost fire became much brighter all of a sudden. Although he had never practiced the secret technique of the Netherworld sect, he could feel that the Netherworld purgatory banner was of great use to him. And these. Yongkai took out a few pieces of jade slips and handed them to Guizu. Ghost Ancestor took it curiously, swept away his divine sense, and said pleasantly, okay, with these, the old man will be promoted to the second level of Daoyuan in a few days. Those few pieces of jade slips recorded nothing but some of the secret techniques of the Netherworld sect, which were very suitable for the Ghost Ancestor. If they complemented the few Netherworld purgatory banners, the Ghost Ancestor's strength would skyrocket in a very short period of time. To be continued. Chapter 2719. Phone reading. After all, Yuanjing elixir is a foreign object, and Kung Fu is the foundation of a warrior. Guizu was naturally overjoyed when he got the Kung Fu secret art of the Netherworld sect. This is the real gift. Yongkai turned his head to look at Kaiyu. Kaiyu pursed her lips and said with a smile, the monster clan has very few cultivation techniques, so don't tell me you have prepared some exercises for me. That's not true, it's just this. Yongkai stretched out his hand, and suddenly a small mountain appeared in front of him, and the billowing monster energy instantly filled the hall, making everyone moved. Inner alchemy, Kaiyu exclaimed, picked up an inner alchemy and felt it, and her face changed again. 12th order inner alchemy. The 12th order inner alchemy can only be formed in the body of a 12th order monster, which is equivalent to the Emperor's realm of the human race. Anyone is priceless, and it is difficult for ordinary people to see. This is also a 12th order inner alchemy. Io also took one in his hand, with a shocked expression on his face. This is the 10th level, this is the 11th level. Ji Yu Kangyan's eyes were straightened as he watched from the side. The number of inner alchemy like a hill in front of him is as many as thousands, all of which are 10th rank and above inner alchemy, at least 10% of the 12th rank, 10% is 100, what a terrifying number. I know that your monster clan's cultivation is different from that of human beings, but with the help of these inner alchemists, senior cultivation should be more effective with half the effort. Yongkai looked at Chiyu and said. Kaiyu was dizzy in front of her eyes, looking at those inner alchemy, she couldn't believe it. Where did you get so many inner alchemy? I picked it up. Yongkai chuckled. Kaiyu couldn't help giving him a look. Can these things be picked up casually? She thought Yongkai was talking nonsense. But in fact, these inner alchemy were really picked up by Yongkai, picked up from the beast tomb in the wild ancient land, and he picked up 1,000,000 pieces, so what is a mere 1,000 inner alchemy? If Kaiyu knew the true number of inner alchemy in Yongkai's hand, he would probably go crazy. It's all over the world. Only in the animal tombs in the ancient land can such a huge inner alchemy be accumulated. Without asking any more questions, Kaiyu excitedly put away these inner pills. As Yongkai said, the cultivation of the monster race is different from that of human beings, most of them directly swallow the aura of heaven and earth. The essence of the sun and the moon can even devour the inner alchemy of other monster races. With so many inner alchemy support, Kaiyueri's cultivation speed will definitely be very fast in the future. Senior GU, these are a few sets of swordsmanship secret arts, they are not too advanced, you are practicing for now, if there are better ones in the future, I will help you find them. Yongkai took out a few pieces of jade slips. Pass it to Ji Kangyan. Ji Kangyan is the leader of the Sword Alliance in the homeland Starfield, and he practices the Way of the Sword. These sets of secret skills of the Way of the Sword are undoubtedly the most suitable for him. Yongkai killed so many Emperor Senior realms, got so many spoils of war, it is not difficult to find a few good sets of swordsmanship secrets. Ji Kangyan took a look, his eyes brightened and said, this is much better than what Ji practiced before. The swordsmanship he had come into contact with before was at the Daoyuan level at most, but what Yongkai took out were all the relics of the Emperor Senior realm, which was naturally much better than his own cultivation. In the end it was Ayu's turn, and Yongkai also gave him a few sets of matching skills and secret techniques. Everyone is happy. I feel that the shotgun is changed all of a sudden, and the grade is different in an instant. This is not over yet, when Yongkai took out a group of stars. Everyone was completely shocked. To know the origin of the stars, only a star of cultivation can be born. A complete mass of origin of stars is equivalent to the root of a star of cultivation. Several people have been in the star realm for many years, knowing that the origin of stars is in the scarcity of the astral world. Caillou and the others have always secretly regretted that when they were in the star realm, they didn't make up their minds to refine the origin of the stars, which led to the fact that they had no chance when they came to the star realm. It's just that refining the origin of the stars was too dangerous at that time. No one dared to be cruel, only Io succeeded. But now, a ball appeared in Yang Kai's hand, and each person gave a copy and passed down the star refining formula. Io itself is the body of the Star Master, but he does not need the origin of the stars. After some busy work, he refined the Dharma protectors for Chiyu Ghost Ancestor and Jiyu Canyon. 3 days later, the three Shushu opened their eyes, their faces were full of joy. With the origin of the stars, it would be easier to perceive the power of heaven, martial arts and laws, which would be of great help to their future growth and promotion. Yang Kai's actions today are enough to increase their efficiency tenfold and 100-fold on the road of cultivation, which greatly saves cultivation time. Well, do you guys have any confusion or understanding in cultivation? If so, everyone can discuss it with each other. After giving the gift, Yang Kai looked around at everyone. A few people understand that this so-called discussion is just Yang Kai's modest statement, he just wants to answer the questions about cultivation for a few people. Without hesitation at the moment, they all spoke up. In the main hall, everyone asked and answered questions, and time passed slowly. Is everyone inside dead? Get out. I don't know how long it took before a voice suddenly exploded outside the Lingxiao Palace. The speaker seemed to have mustered up his strength, so the voice spread for hundreds of miles. Yang Kai frowned, turned his head and looked in the direction of the mountain gate. A ray of divine sense quietly diffused out, and soon saw the situation outside. Outside the mountain gate, in front of the guardian array, an exquisite building boat was suspended in midair. There is a big banner with the word, medicine, written on it. At this moment, a boy who seemed to be only 15 or 16 years old was standing on the deck of the building ship, looking angrily at the plaque of the Lingxiao Palace. Although this boy is young, he has a Daoyuan first-level cultivation base, which really surprised Yang Kai. The voice just now was obviously yelled by him, but he didn't know what secret technique or secret treasure was used to make the voice travel so far. Where is the brat? Daoyuan first-level cultivation base dares to act wild in front of Lingxiao Palace. Yang Kai has a strange look on his face. At this moment, Yang Kai suddenly noticed something, took out the communication compass, checked it a little, and saw Hua Qingxi's communication. Palace Master, it seems that someone is looking for trouble. She obviously also heard the boy's voice. Yang Kai moved his mind, and replied, a little hairy boy, you can deal with it. Now that Hua Qingxi is the chief steward of High Heaven Palace, Yang Kai naturally does not plan to come forward, not to mention that the other party is only Daoyuan first level, and does not know what to rely on, so it is most appropriate for Hua Qingxi to handle it. When Caillou and the others saw that he took out the compass for interrogation for a while, they all asked, what happened? It's nothing, don't worry about it, let's continue. Yang Kai said and put away the communication compass. Seeing him like this, a few people didn't want to ask too many questions, and immediately continued to discuss the issue of cultivation with Yang Kai. After a while, Yang Kai suddenly frowned, took out the communication compass, checked it with his spiritual sense, and immediately showed a surprised expression. If something happens, the Palace Master will handle it by himself. At the beginning of the establishment of Lingxiao Palace, it is not appropriate to make enemies easily. Io said. Well, then I'll go there. Yang Kai nodded, stood up, and left the hall in a flash. After a few ups and downs, people have arrived outside the mountain gate. Hua Qingxi is here, looking across the air from the young man outside the formation. What surprised Yang Kai was that the other party was at the first level of Dao origin, and he didn't have the slightest timidity when facing Hua Qingxi, the Emperor's senior realm. Instead he had an unruly expression on his face. Look. Seeing Yang Kai appear, the young man looked him up and down, and casually said, this is your Lingxiao Palace Master. That's right. Hua Qingxi nodded, this is Yang Kai, the Lord of our High Heaven Palace, tell him what you have to say. It's not that bad, I thought it was 3-headed and 6-armed. The young man curled his lips and smiled contemptuously. This wonderful attitude made Yang Kai inexplicably angry, but he didn't bother to learn from him, he just laughed and said, you said you were from Medicine Pill Valley. What proof do you have? It was precisely because Hua Qingxi sent a message, saying that the young man claimed to be a disciple of Medicine Pill Valley, that Yang Kai rushed over. The young man didn't answer, He stretched out his hand and pointed at the big banner behind him, and snorted coldly, "You're blind, you didn't see the words." The blue veins on Yang Kai's forehead twitched, and he felt an urge to beat him up, but thinking about Medicine Pill Valley, he endured it, but said in a deep voice, "What can one word prove? Are you kidding me?" The young man couldn't help but widen his eyes, looked at Yang Kai with a strange face, and said, "Where did you come from? You don't even recognize the logo of my Medicine Pill Valley, and you have the face." Quote. "Actually, call me a turkey." Yang Kai only felt a cavity of anger rushing up, his whole body was like a volcano about to erupt. He took a deep breath, and then he calmed down. But the young man didn't notice it, jumped on the mast, pulled the big flag away, waved it in the wind, and said loudly, "Look clearly, there is no one in the whole northern region who doesn't recognize this big flag." Hee. Yang Kai narrowed his eyes, nodded slightly and said, "My palace master now recognizes it." The sound transmission said to Watching Si, "I really want to beat this kid." Watching Si was shocked, and quickly replied, "Palace master, don't be impulsive. If he is really from the Medicine Pill Valley, he must not be offended. We will have to live in the Northern Territory in the future. If not, why do you think I tolerate him like this?" Yang Kai was furious. A young man, a big flag, and a word of medicine are not enough to make Yang Kai afraid. But the 3 words of medicine elixir really carry weight. Without him, this place is the retreat place of Emperor Miaodan, the sacred place in the hearts of hundreds of millions of warriors in the entire Northern Territory. Although the great Emperor Miaodan didn't care about world affairs, he didn't establish a great emperor's sect like other great emperors, and only lived in seclusion in the Medicine Pill Valley, but this did not prevent the Northern Territory warriors from admiring him. In the Northern Territory, if one offends Emperor Miaodan or Yaodan Valley, it will be absolutely difficult to move an inch, not to mention the supreme cultivation of Emperor Miaodan himself. Even the warriors in the entire Northern Territory will not tolerate it. The young man jumped down from the mast, stood in front of the deck, clasped his waist with his hands, and said domineeringly, "It's good if you recognize it, but you have to remember it carefully, maybe you will often deal with it in the future." To be continued. Closing parenthesis. Chapter 2720. It really happened. A deal, what a deal. Yang Kai's face darkened slightly. For Medicine Pill Valley, he also has admiration, not to mention that he has the inheritance of Gongsun Mu, the 3rd disciple of Emperor Miaodan, and has some relationship with Medicine Pill Valley. Just a great emperor is enough for Yang Kai to face up to it. But that was before. If the people in Medicine Pill Valley are as arrogant and rebellious as this young man, they are not worthy of Yang Kai's attention. "You will know when the time comes," the boy replied impatiently. Yang Kai frowned and said, "If you are from Medicine Pill Valley, what are you doing in my High Heaven Palace?" Soaring Heaven Palace has just been established, and has never had anything to do with Medicine Pill Valley, so such a person suddenly came, which naturally made Yang Kai feel strange. "You think I want to come here?" The young man sneered, clasped his fists in both hands, bowed sideways to the void, and said in a clear voice, "I am here to buy medicine by order of my teacher." Buy medicine. Yang Kai and Watching Si looked at each other, both looking blank. "There is nothing wrong with this kid, come to my Lingxiao Palace to buy medicine," Yang Kai whispered. Watching Si wasn't sure. It doesn't look like a problem, although it's a bit annoying. Maybe there is something wrong. Tisk tisk, it's poor. If he is really sick, maybe his identity is also fake. Well, it makes sense. Hey, you two, what are you talking about secretly? The young man saw that Yang Kai and Watching Si hadn't answered for a long time, and glanced away, only to find that the 2 people had a surge of divine sense, and they were communicating in secret. Looking at him, his gaze also became strange, and he was suddenly a little annoyed. Hee, nothing. Yang Kai grinned and said, "Then dare to ask, little brother, what kind of medicine do you want to buy when you come to my High Heaven Palace?" The young man stretched out his hand and flicked it, and a jade slip flew straight over. Yang Xinian moved slightly opened the protective array, let the jade slip pass through, and grabbed it in the palm of his hand. Shen Sense was immersed in it for a while, and his complexion suddenly became strange. There are really many spiritual medicines recorded in this jade slip. There are as many as 1,000 kinds of them, and their grades are different. Many of them are even emperor-level spiritual medicines, which are very valuable. The young man said, "My teacher gave Wenqingzong a copy of this medicine list 10 years ago, and asked Wenqingzong to collect it on his behalf. Now that the deadline has expired, my teacher ordered me to come and buy it." Do you understand? Yang Kai came to a sudden, and said, is there such a thing? This young man is not sick, but he really came to buy medicine, but what he wanted to buy was the elixir that he had collected for Wenqingzong before. Although the elixir on this medicine list is numerous and valuable, it should take 10 years for the Wenqing sect to collect all of them. It's a pity that the Wenqing sect was destroyed by Yang Kai, so the young man can only find Yang Kaido. The young man said, it's not just asking about the emotional sect. The top sects in the Northern Territory have cooperated with our Medicine Pill Valley. A medicine list is updated every 10 years. When the deadline is reached, my Medicine Pill Valley will come and take it away. They all cooperate. Yang Kai was surprised. But if you think about it, it becomes clear that Yaodan Valley will save time and effort by doing this, and with the Emperor Miaodan there, the great sects in the Northern Territory will definitely be happy to do so. Maybe they can use this to compete with Yaodan. If you have a good relationship with Jiyu, you will naturally be close to the water when you need to make alchemy in the future. The young man said, that's right. Now that Wenqingzong has been destroyed by you, you must have all the elixir that Wenqingzong collected in the past 10 years. You find it for me, and I will take it back in return to my teacher. Quote. What he said was serious, and it didn't seem like he was lying. Yang Kai had already believed it. But just to be on the safe side, he still said, you wait. Now he is the lord of the first palace, and the other party is a young boy with no identity certificate, so he can't just do what others say. If he is cheated, it would be too embarrassing. So Yang Kai thinks it is better to verify it. When the words fell, the person had disappeared. Where are you going, bastard? The young man was furious. He thought that he had reported his identity as a disciple of the Medicine Pill Valley, but the other party didn't immediately respectfully invite him to go in and rest, and served him with delicious food and drink. He was blowing outside, and he didn't even enter the gate. The guardian array was always open, guarding him like he was against thieves. Couldn't help but angrily said, okay, the Wailing Shao Palace treats guests with such contempt from my Medicine Pill Valley. I will definitely report this matter to my master after I go back. You will never want to get anything from my Medicine Pill Valley in the future. Granules. Watching C hurriedly comforted. Young master, please calm down. My palace master has always been so hot-tempered, but it is not intentional to neglect you. Born in a great sect, she knows the truth that the king of Hades is easy to see and little ghosts are hard to deal with. Don't look at this young man's cultivation at the first level of Daoyuan, and he is not very old, but what if he is really asked to return to Medicine Pill Valley? A bad word about Lingxiao Palace might cause some trouble. As the chief steward of Lingxiao Palace, she naturally wanted to make big things into small things. Didn't you neglect me? The young man pointed at the direction Yang Kai left and roared, look at his attitude. How can this kind of person become the master of the first palace? I don't think Lingxiao Palace is any better than staying in the Northern Territory, eh? He is not very old, but his tone is not small, as if 1 or 2 words can make Lingxiao Palace completely get out of the Northern Territory. Watching C was helpless, and it was not easy to refute, so as not to add fuel to the fire, she could only silently watch the boy go crazy there. After talking, the young man turned his eyes, looked up and down watching C for a few times, and suddenly changed his smile again, saying, Sister, what's your name? Watching C squeezed out a smile and reported her name. The young man clapped his hands and said, Qingxi, what a good name, it's really a good name. In my opinion, this Lingxiao Palace won't last long, and my sister doesn't have to suffer here. Why don't you come back to Medicine Pill Valley with me? Watching C laughed, and said, I don't know how to make alchemy, so why go to Medicine Pill Valley? The young man chuckled and said, my sister doesn't need to know how to make alchemy, I just need to know how to make alchemy. As a woman, sister will always be able to make beds and make quilts, right? Follow me when the time comes, and I guarantee that no one will drive you out of the medicine pill. Gu, I am a low-rank alchemist at the Daoyuan level, and given time, there is no problem in being promoted to the Emperor Alchemist. Tisk tisk, my sister looks really good looking. Make the bed and fold the quilt. As soon as watching C gritted her silver teeth, the smile on her face suddenly became colder. After all, she is also at the Emperor Senior Realm, and now a kid at the first level of Daoyuan actually asks her to make a bed with her. And he looked at her unscrupulously, with a lewd expression. If it was someone else, watching C would have rushed up to dig out his eyeballs. But this person may belong to Medicine Pill Valley. Even though watching C was annoyed, she could only endure it. However, the other party is actually a Daoyuan level low-grade alchemist, which really shocked watching C, secretly sighing that he was born in Medicine Pill Valley, and he had such an achievement at such a young age. Sister, you should think about it carefully. There are not many such opportunities. I have a very high vision, and not all women can catch my eyes. The young man didn't notice it, and still felt good about himself. Watching C said lightly, "Little brother loves you, sister is blessed, I'm afraid your kindness will be unbearable." A kid who doesn't have even hair yet dares to pay attention to him, even if he really wants to find a man, he has to find someone like Yongkai, how could he fall in love with him? The young man couldn't help but snorted coldly, "I don't know how to flatter you." He invited so sincerely, but this woman refused to accept. It is really unreasonable, she is willing to degenerate. Where did that Yongkai go, why hasn't he come back? The young man ate a soft nail at Waqingxi's place, urging him a little impatiently. Waqingxi turned her head and said, "Who knows? ... Hey, why are you here?" Beside the space magic circle, Yongkai just showed up when he saw a familiar figure. Zhu Qing looked at Yongkai with fiery eyes, her mountainous chest heaving violently. She gritted her teeth and said, "You are hiding from me." "What's the matter?" Yongkai Xuan denied, "Why should I hide from you? You are avoiding me." It has been several months. Zhu Qing has not found Yongkai. If she hadn't been guarding the space circle, she really thought that Yongkai had teleported away. Today, it was finally the end of all hardships, and Yongkai was caught. "Have you already said it? Why are you so wordy?" Yongkai waved his hand impatiently and said, "Get out of the way, I want to go out." Zhu Qing didn't say a word, stood in front of him, and said vigilantly, "Where to go? I will go with you." "I'm going to Bingxin Valley, I'll be right back." Yongkai stared at her, "What are you doing with me? Didn't you just go to Bingxin Valley last time? Why are you going again this time?" "Someone came and said he wanted to buy medicine. I'll go to Bingxin Valley to ask if there is such a thing." "Damn, why am I telling you this? I can't tell." While talking, the space magic circle in front of him suddenly became a halo, and a blurry figure appeared on the magic circle. Someone sent it. Yongkai and Zhu Qing looked together. The figure quickly appeared, revealing Ji Yao's face. "Yaoer, you came just in time, I just wanted to go to Bingxin Valley to ask something." Yongkai was overjoyed. "Don't worry, I have something to tell you." Ji Yao walked down from the space magic circle, looked at Yongkai and said. "What?" Yongkai was stunned. The 10-year time limit for obtaining medicine from Medicine Pill Valley has come. Some disciples from Medicine Pill Valley may come here recently. Master ordered me to come and tell you. Give them all the medicines, Medicine Pill Valley will not let you suffer. It really happened. Yongkai scratched his face. Before, he heard from the boy that Medicine Pill Valley had cooperation with all the major sects in the Northern Territory, so he immediately wanted to go to Bingxin Valley to inquire about the situation. The boy's identity is gone. Unexpectedly, Ji Yao teleported here before he passed here. Of course there are, and now a disciple of Medicine Pill Valley has gone to Bingxin Valley. Why do you have such an expression? It's nothing, there are people coming from my side. Yongkai laughed dryly. Where are people? Ji Yao asked curiously. It's still outside the mountain gate. Ji Yao stared and said, "Why don't you come in? Go here, go here." Yongkai turned around and returned to the spot. Wait. Zhu Qing hurriedly followed. Ji Yao frowned, and turned into a streak of light, quickly following her. To be continued. Chapter 2721 Can't Hold Back. Phone reading. The temperature will drop sharply in the next few days. Friends, please keep warm. You are finally back. Where is the panacea I want? Outside the mountain gate, seeing Yongkai go and return, the young man gritted his teeth and asked. Yongkai laughed, and said with a smile, "The list of medicines on the jade slip is of various types, and it will not be cleared in a while. Little brother, please come in and rest for a while, I will find out the elixir you need." While speaking, he opened the protective array and gave Waqingxi a wink. Waqingxi understood, and signaled, "Little brother, please." The young man snorted coldly, and Yu Kai swaggered into the Lingxiao Palace on a large boat, overlooking Yongkai and said, "I warn you, don't play any tricks, the elixir listed on the medicine list, no matter the year or the type or quantity must not be wrong, otherwise you will never be able to eat and walk around." "I know." Yongkai nodded impatiently. Although this matter has nothing to do with Lingxiao Palace, but the thing that asked Qingzong is indeed in his own hands now. Since he wants to buy it, then sell it to him, and it can be regarded as a good relationship with Yaopil Valley. You know the best. The young man was about to say a few more words when his eyes widened and he looked straight at the two beautiful figures that suddenly appeared behind Yang Kai, stepped on the void with both feet a few times and came behind Yang Kai, looked at Ji Yao and Zhu Qing with a smile, turned his eyes, finally fixed on Zhu Qing, and said politely, Xiaosheng Li Zan dare to ask this sister's name. My heart was full of joy. My master didn't let me go to Bingxin Valley, but sent me to this Lingxiao Palace. I didn't expect that there are many beauties in this ghost place. One after another, people are dazzled. Especially this sister. That chest, that waist, tisk tisk. The sister next to her is not bad, although she is a bit colder. Originally, I was a little bit complaining about the master's decision, but let the senior brother go to the Bingxin Valley, let him appreciate the demeanor of many beauties. At this moment, there is no more complaints. Although there are many women in Bingxin Valley, it is not necessarily so outstanding. Yang Kai was trembling all over, with goosebumps all over his body. He looked up and down the young man, thinking that he really didn't see it. This kid is actually a slut. It's like this at a young age, and it's okay when you grow up. Zhu Qing didn't say a word, and stared at Yang Kai with her beautiful eyes, for fear that he would disappear again. The teenager is not only not annoyed. Instead, she still said shyly, Sister, I'm talking to you. Only then did Zhu Qing glance at him leisurely, and said, Get out. As soon as he said that, the boy's face turned red instantly. Yang Kai said something was wrong. This young man named Li Zan was not a serious person at first glance, but he was a disciple of Yaopil Valley. Zhu Qing said that, maybe he would annoy him. While thinking about how to remedy it. But Li Zan took a deep breath, showing a fascinated expression. The color grants the soul and said, It sounds good, it sounds good. Sister, say a few more words. Yang Kai was dripping with cold sweat, and Ji Yao and Hua Qingxi also had strange expressions. Tell you to go away, do you hear me? Believe it or not, I'll beat you up. Zhu Qing's eyes turned cold. The young man covered his chest all of a sudden, as if he had been greatly satisfied. He couldn't breathe freely. Involuntarily staggering a few steps back, his already red face became even more ruddy. This kid likes this tune. Yang Kai stared at Hua Qingxi in amazement, and said via voice transmission. How do you know? Hua Qingxi gave him a blank look. Yang Kai was amazed. The forest is so big, any bird can fly. After regaining his senses, he told Hua Qingxi, Sister Hua, take this little brother down to rest for a while, and I will sort out the medicinal materials. Yes. Hua Qingxi nodded, stretched out her hand again and signaled to Li Zan, Little brother, please. Don't. Li Zan raised his hand to Hua Qingxi, his eyes were biting on Zhu Qing's body like leeches, and said, I don't want you, I want this sister to take care of me. Hua Qingxi's face turned cold, and she cursed in her heart. Just now this kid told me to follow him to make the bed and fold the quilt, but in a blink of an eye, he actually disliked me. What's the matter, isn't it just the breasts? Damn, they are really big. You're courting death. Zhu Qing stared at him coldly. Li Zan's face was full of sunshine, and he smiled brightly. Sister is willing to let me die, so my younger brother will die for you. The young man is young, but he has a smooth tongue, but he doesn't know that Zhu Qing really has the intention to kill him. Don't say that he is just a disciple of Medicine Pill Valley, he is really a direct disciple of Emperor Miao Dan. Zhu Qing also has the courage to kill him. As you wish. Zhu Qing snorted coldly, and then she really wanted to do it. Yang Kai was taken aback, and quickly shouted, What are you doing? As soon as she turned around, she stood in front of Zhu Qing. Get out of the way. Zhu Qing looked at him angrily. Hey, you still dare to lose your temper with me? Yang Kai stared. Zhu Qing's momentum suddenly became shorter, and she frowned and said, Give way. Yang Kai whispered, This person can't be killed. Zhu Qing said disdainfully, Who can't kill anyone? Anyway, this person can't be killed. He belongs to Medicine Pill Valley. If he kills me, he will be in trouble. In this way, you can just perfunctory him, or ignore him if you can't. He has bad intentions towards me, yet you still tell me to perfunctory him. Zhu Qing looked at Yang Kai with a sad face. He's just a bitch, and you haven't lost a piece of meat. I was with you last time, cough cough. I thought that I have treated you like that, and I didn't see that you wanted to kill me. Could it be that my charm is so great? Zhu Qing blushed, turned her head away and said, anyway, I won't talk to him. All right, you should just help out, just stand here, I'll sort out the medicinal materials and drive him away in a while. Hurry up, Zhu Qing said unwillingly. Qinger is the best, Yang Kai said flatteringly, oiling the soles of his feet instantly. Zhu Qing's face turned red again. Li Zan's heart was surging as she watched, wishing to hold hands with her and grow old together. When he came to a deserted place, Yang Kai took out the jade slips that Li Zan had given him before, and compared them one by one to search in his space ring. After the Wenqing sect was destroyed, all the supplies of the Wenqing sect were packed by him. If the Wenqing sect really collected medicinal materials for the Medicine Pill Valley, then Yang Kai would definitely be able to find them. In fact, Yang Kai did find it. Everything, one piece, no matter the year or type, there is even a little excess in that quantity. There are thousands of medicinal materials, and there is no lack of emperor-level elixir, so Yang Kai is a bit reluctant to hand it over. After all, he is an alchemist himself, and these elixirs are also useful to him. But now that his family is rich, he doesn't like these elixir. At the very least, handing it over to Yao Pill Valley would save him a lot of trouble. Ji Yao also said that Yao Pill Valley will not treat him badly, and should buy it at the market price. In other words, the great name of Medicine Pill Valley is even more related to the reputation of Emperor Miao Dan, so it is naturally impossible to do things like bullying the weak and detaining the source crystal. In less than a quarter of an hour, Yang Kai had already sorted out all the medicinal materials. Just as he was about to take it to a business, and drive Li Zan away by the way, the communication compass suddenly moved again. Yang Kai frowned, muttered in his mouth, took out the communication compass, spiritual mind poured into it, and his face changed in the next moment. The law of space fluctuates, disappearing in place in an instant, and when it reappears, the person is already at the mountain gate. Looking around, the young man named Li Zan was sitting on the ground with a face of horror at the moment, covering his cheeks with his hands. On that clean cheek, there was a clear fingerprint of 5 fingers and his mouth was full of blood. Zhu Qing was standing not far in front of him, her cold murderous intent enveloped him like a substance, making him shiver. At the critical moment of life and death, he realized that the protective clothing of the disciples of Medicine Pill Valley had no effect at all, and the breath of death rushed towards him, making him feel cold all over his body and hands and feet. Ji Yao stood there indifferently, looking at Li Zan without any sympathy. Watching Si held the communication compass in her hand and was at a loss. Yang Kai appeared suddenly and extinguished Zhu Qing's anger all at once, only then did Long Nu recall Yang Kai's previous instructions, and her expression suddenly became uneasy. What's wrong? Yang Kai gave Li Zan a cold look, then looked at Zhu Qing and asked. Zhu Qing's red lips twitched a few times, but she didn't say a word. Sister Hua, tell me. Yang Kai turned his head to look at Watching Si. Watching Si sighed, and said, this boy made a move on Miss Qing, but after being avoided by Miss Qing, he made an inch of it. Miss Qing couldn't get angry for a while, so, she took action to teach him a lesson. From the standpoint of a woman, Watching Si wanted to give Zhu Qing a good compliment, and felt that the beating was not enough, even if she didn't kill her, she should directly abolish her cultivation. But from the standpoint of the chief executive of the Lingxiao sect, Watching Si knew how much trouble Zhu Qing's slap had brought to the sect, so she couldn't help feeling a little worried. Do something. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows. Nonsense, what's the matter? Li Zan yelled, and for some reason, his confidence suddenly became stronger, and he stood up and said, this is simply slander. She is at the Emperor Senior level, and I only have the Daoyuan First level, how could he have the strength to touch her? You still know that you are Daoyuan First layer. Yang Kai looked at him in surprise. This kid was arrogant and domineering as soon as he came, his eyes were higher than the top, as if he was in the Emperor Senior realm, and he and others were in the Dao Origin realm. Li Zan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, looked at Yang Kai angrily, and shouted, this woman hit me for no reason, I am a disciple of Medicine Pill Valley, and her beating me is equivalent to hitting Medicine Pill Valley. You are Ling Xiao Palace Master, I want you to give me an explanation, otherwise I will never let you go. Do you want to explain? Yang Kai narrowed his eyes and glanced at him, calmly said, what do you want to explain? Li Zan looked ruthless, turned to look at Zhu Qing and said, I want you to abolish this bitch's cultivation and leave it to me. The strength gap is too big, but if one's cultivation base is abolished, then there is nothing to be afraid of. He secretly felt ruthless in his heart, and decided to let this woman know the fate of disobeying him. Yang Kai turned to look at Zhu Qing and said, "Did you really hit him?" Zhu Qing looked gloomy, and said in a low voice, "I can't hold back. I'm sorry." To be continued. Chapter 2722. Yang Kai had just told Zhu Qing before that this young man was a disciple of the Medicine Pill Valley, a disciple of the great Emperor Miao Dan. If I slap him now, it will definitely bring troubles to Lingxiao Palace, maybe it will make Yang Kai feel resentful towards him, and then I will not be able to complete my mission. Zhu Qing felt uneasy, but she couldn't bear the situation just now. I was almost slapped to death by this bastard, can't you see it? The young man yelled hysterically, with a look of grief and indignation, as if he had been greatly wronged. I really didn't see it. Yang Kai looked at him in surprise, hooked his hands and said, "Come over here and let me have a look and see where she hit you." The young man jumped 3 feet high, rushed to Yang Kai, put his face closer and said, Face, she actually slapped me in the face, look at what she did, if you don't give me a satisfactory explanation, I will never let it go." Yang Kai took a serious look at the injury on his face, nodded slightly, raised his hand suddenly, and slapped the other side of the youth's intact face. Snappy to A. With a crisp sound, the young man rolled in the air, and after more than a dozen laps, he fell heavily on the ground. In midair, a mouthful of teeth flew out, and most of them fell off. After hitting the ground hard, the stars appeared in front of his eyes, and he lay there stupidly, but he didn't recover for a long time. The girls were all startled, Chi-Chi's eyes widened. "Palace Master, you." Watching Si was terrified, if Zhu Qing slapped this kid, it was considered as self-inflicted humiliation, then Yang Kai, who is the Palace Master of Lingxiao Palace, also slapped him, then the situation has become so serious that it cannot be dealt with. Yang Kai is now representing the Lingxiao Palace, every move has a great relationship, this slap, doesn't it mean to tear the skin off with Yao Pill Valley? Thinking about it makes her feel terrible, as the chief steward of Lingxiao Palace, watching Si suddenly feels so tired. But soon she was relieved, seeing the young man named Li Zan being beaten into the air, her heart was filled with joy. This kid is so annoying. Next time you encounter this kind of thing, hit harder. Yang Kai glanced at Zhu Qing. Zhu Qing nodded foolishly. As a dragon girl, her domineering strength is almost incomprehensible. Yang Kai had almost suffered a big loss from her before. If he didn't restrain himself, that slap would be enough to kill Li Zan more than 10 times, precisely because of Yang Kai. She had reservations about the previous exhortations, and she was only slightly punished, otherwise Li Zan wouldn't be alive. "You, how dare you?" Li Zan finally came back to his senses, stretched out his hand and pointed at Yang Kai tremblingly, his mouth ran wild, and he slurred his words, "How dare you hit me? What's wrong with beating you?" Yang Kai waved his hand, and Li Zan immediately crawled all over the ground, holding his head in his hands, and exclaimed. After waiting for a while without anything happening, Li Zan secretly glanced at Yang Kai, realizing that he was being tricked, his face flushed red, and he said angrily, "I am a disciple of Medicine Pill Valley, if you dare to beat me, you are sure to die. Do you remember the pain or not?" Yang Kai looked grim, stepped forward, lifted Li Zan up, and held it in front of him. Li Zan struggled hard, but with his strength, how could he get rid of Yang Kai's restraint? Shouted in horror, "You, what are you doing? Let you learn a lesson." Yang Kai snorted coldly, reaching out to fan him. Clap clap clap. There were continuous sounds, although the Emperor Yuan was not used, but the pure strength made Li Zan want to die, and after a few slaps, he was already crying and wailing, without integrity. "You don't learn well at such a young age." Yang Kai squinted at him, raised his palm in front of Li Zan, and looked at him fiercely, "Can you talk well?" Yes. Li Zan nodded incessantly, only feeling that his cheeks were numb, and he could clearly see his face swollen from the corner of his eyes. "Go and apologize." Yang Kai threw Li Zan aside, right at Zhu Qing's feet. Zhu Qing glanced at Yang Kai in surprise, her heart twitching inexplicably. Is this trying to vent out my anger? After all, with Yang Kai's current status, it is best to turn this kind of thing into a small one, so that he can live a stable life, but he can't help but beat him up. He gave the boy a meal and asked him to apologize to himself. Didn't he annoy himself and keep avoiding himself? What is this for? For a while, Zhu Qing was in a mess. Li Zan staggered to his feet, stood obediently in front of Zhu Qing, bowed deeply, and said sincerely, "I'm sorry, my little brother, I was rude just now, please be generous with my lord, don't be as knowledgeable as me, I'm just a little child, don't understand anything, sister, don't be angry. After being beaten violently, Li Zan suddenly seemed to be a different person, not to mention how well behaved and sensible. Zhu Qing frowned and said, it's nothing. It's really nothing, this kid tried to do something to her before, but she avoided it, and he didn't suffer at all, but he was beaten by Yang Kai. Thank you for your magnanimity, sister. Li Zan was grateful, then turned around and walked in front of Yang Kai, and said with a smile, this elder brother, younger brother has already said too modestly, and that elder sister also forgave me, you see. Yang Kai narrowed his eyes and said, well, yes, children can be taught. Li Zan said with a smile, brother, thank you, if nothing happens, then I will leave. You don't want the elixir? Yang Kai looked at him with an intriguing expression. Li Zan slapped his head and said with a dry smile, haha, I almost forgot, this is a task assigned by master. Yang Kai smiled slightly, threw the space ring he had prepared before, and said, the elixir on the medicine list is all inside, you can order it yourself. No need, I can still trust you as a man. Li Zan kept talking, put away the space ring, took out another space ring and handed it to Yang Kai. This is the source crystal for buying the elixir. Brother, hurry up. Yang Kai let out a sound, took the space ring, looked up at Li Zan after his divine sense swept over it, and said, this amount is a bit small, are you sure your master only gave these source crystals? The number of elixirs on the medicine list is not cheap, and the grade is not low. According to Yang Kai's estimate, at least 20 million high-grade source crystals. But the source crystals in this space ring are only 10 million, and all of them are low-grade source crystals. This is simply heaven and earth. Li Zan was stunned, and then said with a sneer, I took the wrong one, this is what master told me. While speaking, he quickly changed the space ring for Yang Kai. There is nothing wrong with the number of source crystals this time, and there are even more, almost 25 million top-grade source crystals. It seems that it is indeed as Ji Yao said before, although the Medicine Pill Valley asked the major sects in the northern region to collect spirits on their behalf. Medicine, but it will definitely not let these sects suffer, all medicine materials will be purchased at the price, and there is even a little extra. After all, this matter concerns the reputation of Yeoden Valley and Emperor Miaoden, and the disciples of Yeoden Valley dare not mess around. But Yang Kai knew that if the Wenqing sect still existed, this young man named Li Zan would only need to pay for the source crystal of the first ring to buy the elixir from the Wenqing sect. Li Zan obviously wanted to take advantage, and 25 million high-grade source crystals was not a small amount. That's why he prepared 2 source crystals and 2 rings. But after being severely taught by Yang Kai, how dare he dare to ask for wild food here? The money and the goods were settled, Li Zan immediately offered to leave, and Yang Kai naturally would not go to persuade him to stay. The young man sacrificed the building boat and flew up by the wind. He was really chic, if his cheeks were not swollen like a pig's head, he would be regarded as a good-looking talent. Goodbye, brothers and sisters. Li Zan stood on the deck and waved enthusiastically. Go all the way, Yang Kai responded with a smile. Li Zan's imperial boat flew away quickly, and the moment he turned around, the smile on his face quickly faded, turning into ice cold. What do you want to do? Ji Yao suddenly stood in front of Yang Kai, blocking his way. Her icy eyes pierced Yang Kai's heart like a sharp knife, and looked into the depths of his heart. This sudden action made Hua Qingxi and Zhu Qing startled, not knowing what Ji Yao meant. Nothing to do, let's go out and hang out. Yang Kai looked up at the sky, a little afraid to look directly into Ji Yao's eyes. I'm with you, Ji Yao said. I'm just going for a walk, what are you doing with me? Yang Kai stared at her. I want to go for a walk too. Yang Kai gritted his teeth and said, I miss a woman, I'll go to a brothel for a while, and you want to go too. Missing a woman? Ji Yao sneered, okay, come back to Bingxin Valley with me, as long as you raise your arms and shout, I'm sure hundreds of Bingxin Valley disciples will rush up and drown you. Yang Kai wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Isn't that right? Don't all the disciples of Bingxin Valley pay attention to purity of heart and asceticism? Male and female eating habits, there is nothing to avoid. I dare not say anything else. I have a few nephews who admire you. If you want, I will arrange for you and make sure they are willing. What this uncle did is really considerate. Yang Kai couldn't help but swallowed his saliva, and almost agreed, when he suddenly noticed 2 pairs of fiery eyes. He swallowed the words again, and said angrily, what's the meaning of a girl from a good family? I like the ones in the brothel. Remnants of flowers and willows are only fun to play. You're enough. Ji Yao's petals trembled wildly, although Yang Kai just talked about it and didn't really put it into action, but she still felt a little unacceptable. And listening to the meaning of Yang Kai's words, it seems that he is a frequent visitor to the brothel. You are enough, what are you doing so nonsense? I already have a follower, you want to come, do I want to live? Yang Kai stared at her. Zhu Qing frowned, dissatisfied. Who are you talking about, make it clear. It's you, do you have any opinions? Yang Kai looked at her. Zhu Qing turned her head and whispered softly, you think I am willing? Don't try to confuse the public. Ji Yao sneered softly, you want to go out and visit the brothel, it's fake, but killing people to silence the truth is true. Murder and silence. Watching C was startled, who to kill and what to silence? ... I recommend a very good Rebirth article, Rebirth, leisurely, ISBN 3645816, the author's writing style is sophisticated, the plot is very interesting, friends who are short of books can read it. To be continued, ... closing parenthesis. Chapter 2723 Emperor Alchemist Ji Ying. As soon as Watching C said the words, she suddenly woke up and looked at Yang Kai in horror. Palace Master, don't you think? Suddenly wanting to kill someone for no reason, thinking about what happened before, it is already clear who the target is. Can't help but be shocked by Yang Kai's audacity. That person is a disciple of Medicine Pill Valley. How could he think of killing people to silence his mouth? If he really wanted to do such a thing, how could Yao Pill Valley give up? What nonsense. Yang Kai denied it. Nothing, Yaoer, you have a lot of associations. Then why don't you dare look at me and talk? Ji Yao snorted coldly. Just look at you, I'm afraid of you. Yang Kai turned his head, his eyes were like eggs, and he stared at Ji Yao viciously. The beautiful eyes in front of her are clear and flawless, as white as a clear spring, and her own shadow is clearly reflected in them, decorated with long eyelashes, like dancing elves, appearing more pure and refined. HMPH. Ji Yao sneered, you think you're not guilty just by staring. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. I'm thinking of you in Fengluo Palace, how you took off your clothes and slouched all over. That kid doesn't look like a fuel-efficient lamp at first glance. On the surface, he was beaten up and down by you, and he was submissive, but in fact he hated you to death in his heart. He is young and the city is too shallow, so he thinks he is putting on airs. You can get away with it, but you and Idona T know that he is full of bad water and is going to go back to Yaopil Valley to sue you. You want to have a deadly case, so you want to kill him to silence him, right? Yang Kai said with a sullen face, it's already like this, what better solution do you have? This time he didn't deny it anymore, but he was surprised. Did he act so obviously? Why did Ji Yao see through his own thoughts at a glance? That can't kill him. Ji Yao frowned, if you really kill him, that's the trouble. Or, you shouldn't beat him like that before, but now that the trouble has come out, you can't solve it if you don't want to solve it. That's all, as the lord of the first palace, you still have to act so recklessly. Shouldn't I hit him? Yang Kai jumped up like a cat that stepped on its tail. I don't know where the little bastard came from, he was so presumptuous in my Lingxiao Palace, and he dared to speak rudely to my people. You said I shouldn't hit him, I wish I could kill him right then, it's a gift to let him leave Lingxiao Palace alive. Who is yours? Zhu Qing blushed. Anyway, that's what it means, what do you care about so much? Yang Kai waved his hand impatiently, if he knows he's wrong, it's fine, but he secretly wants to use means to retaliate, how can I tolerate him? Changguan is a beauty. Although Ji Yao praised her, her eyes were full of sneering, you men like this very much. This has nothing to do with bullshit girls. Yang Kai said calmly and seriously, this is the attitude of being a human being. I don't blame you for hitting him just now. Even I wanted to hit him just now. Ji Yao pursed her lips, her attitude softened, it's just that you shouldn't kill him to silence him. I haven't done it yet, didn't you stop me? Yang Kai pouted. If you do it, it's over. Even if it's reasonable, it will become unreasonable. Wu Ji Yao sighed, I think you are obsessed with anger, so you want to do such a stupid thing. What you say is what you say. Yang Kai put on a posture that a dead pig is not afraid of boiling water, and let Ji Yao preach with his neck stuck. Ji Yao was angry and funny, and said, you have been in the star world for so many years, don't you know the mentality of these young people? He can't represent the Medicine Pill Valley, he is just the second-generation disciple of the Medicine Pill Valley. Second-generation disciple. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows. Ji Yao nodded and explained. The Medicine Pill Valley is the place where Emperor Miaodan cultivated himself, and his disciples are the first generation. All of them are emperor alchemists. They are masters in alchemy. His attainments are so profound that Emperor Miaodan has long stopped accepting disciples, and the disciples accepted by his direct disciples are the second generation, and that Li Zan is naturally one of them. So, in fact, it doesn't seem to be a big deal. Yang Kai rubbed his chin thoughtfully. What he was afraid of was the great Emperor Miaodan. If it was really like what Ji Yao said, then it would really be no big deal. There is still a generation between Li Zan and Emperor Miaodan, and all he can rely on is a direct disciple of Emperor Miaodan. Emperor Alchemist, he is also an Emperor Alchemist, who is afraid of him. What's more, if today's incident is said to break the sky, it is Li Zan's own humiliation. Relying on the identity of the Yao Pill Valley disciple is too arrogant and domineering. If his master still understands the truth, he should not blame Yang Kai and Ling Ling. Xiaogong. Of course, you can't expect others to thank you. If your disciple has been taught a lesson, he will definitely feel a little uncomfortable. So, do you still want to kill people to silence them? Ji Yao asked. Yang Kai laughed, waved his hand and said, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about killing people? You can say such horror words. My palace master sweeps the floor to fear the lives of ants, and cherishes the moth gauze lamp. How can you do such a thing?" The three girls rolled their eyes together. Although there is no need to worry too much, I have to guard against it. I'd better go back to Bingxin Valley to find out the news for you. Li Zan's brother is now in my Bingxin Valley. Ji Yao thought for a while. All right. Yang Kai nodded. Ji Yao turned and left. Yang Kai turned his head to look to the side, and said, "Hiding for so long, what are you doing? You still don't get out." A layer of ripples suddenly appeared in the air over there, like a stone being thrown into a calm lake. The ripples spread, revealing the figures of the South Gate army. The palace lord is mighty, and the South Gate bows down. The army of the South Gate came up with a flattering smile. "Stop flattering, what's the matter?" Yang Kai squinted at him. This guy has been hiding here, and he doesn't know what to do secretly, but Yang Kai doesn't care. Now that the South Gate army is the chief formation master of Lingxiao Palace, it is naturally impossible to be unfavorable to him. The Nanman army immediately said, "This subordinate has prepared some good things for the palace master." "What good stuff?" The army of the South Gate smiled and said mysteriously, "Palace master, please take a look." ... Kill, 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 kill. The building was empty, and on the deck, Li Zan had a vicious look on his face, and kept cursing in a low voice. What happened today is simply a shame and humiliation. As a disciple of Medicine Pill Valley, he has a noble status, and he will definitely be promoted to the existence of Emperor Alchemist in the future. How can he endure this kind of humiliation? Just like what Ji Yao said, on the surface he is arrogant and respectful, but in fact he has been thinking about how to get revenge. He didn't control the boat until it came out of a deserted valley. Putting away his flying secret treasure, the face of resentment has become extremely distorted. Feeling the burning pain on his cheek, he slapped the stone in front of him fiercely, and the gravel flew in the air in an instant, shuttling in the dust and mist. Li Zan wantonly swaying his strength, it seems that he wants to vent all his anger and grievances. After a long time, he sat down on the ground panting, took out some healing pills from his space ring and took them, rolled his eyes maliciously a few times, and said grimly, "You are all going to die." After the words fell, he took out the communication compass, and his spiritual thoughts surged, pouring messages into it. Hundreds of millions of miles away from this valley, the top sect in the Northern Territory, Lilong Palace, is a place full of aura. This place only covers an area of more than 10 acres, but even in Lilong Palace, it is a forbidden place. Apart from the palace owner Li Jiao, only a few elders are qualified to set foot here. Because this is a precious elixir garden. The number of elixir cultivated in the medicine garden is not many, about 100 or so, but each plant is an emperor-level elixir, which is extremely rare, and it is rare to see it outside. The entire medicine garden is filled with spiritual energy and the fragrance of medicine. If an ordinary warrior comes here, he only needs to take a sip to improve his cultivation. At this moment, in a pavilion next to the medicine garden, 3 people sat at a table. The person on the left, wearing a purple robe, elegant and luxurious, with a wide mouth and open nose, is angry and arrogant. It is Li Jiao, the lord of Lilong Palace. The person on the right is also extraordinary. He looks only about 40, but his real age is unknown. His expression is not angry and majestic. He is Mickey, the suzerain of another top sect in the Northern Territory, Mission Sect. It's not surprising that the two can get together. Ever since Yongkai destroyed Wenqing Sect, these two sects have been very close. Just like Bing Yun said, they are quite afraid of Yongkai's Lingxiao Palace, so they naturally want to huddle together to keep warm. And the one sitting in the center is a middle-aged man. This middle-aged man's cultivation is only at the second level of Emperor, which is one level lower than Li Jiao and Mickey. But from the expression and words, it can be seen that Li Jiao and Mickey are extremely respectful to this person, and it can even be said that there is a taste of flattery in it. In this world, there are not many people who can be so respectful with the three-level mirrors of the two emperors and accompany them with caution everywhere, but the direct disciple of Emperor Miao Dan has this qualification. This person is the close disciple of Emperor Miao Dan, and also the fifth disciple, the Emperor Alchemist Ji Yingying. It is impossible for Yao Pill Valley to collect medicine for 10 years, so it is impossible to hand it over to a disciple like Li Zan. This time, Ji Shungying should lead the team to go to those big sects one by one, but Ji Shungying just came to Lilong Palace and took the Lilong Palace. The elixir collected for 10 years was delayed due to some incidents. In desperation, he could only send 2 of his disciples to Bingxin Valley and Lingxiao Palace. He also knew that his disciple Li Zan was a bit lustful, so he sent another disciple to Bingxin Valley, lest this kid fall into the flowers and affect his cultivation mind. But being lustful is not a big problem. Young people are hot-blooded, and they have been studying alchemy in the Medicine Pill Valley all year round, so it is normal to be curious about women. In his opinion, the 2 disciples he has accepted are excellent seedlings. As long as they give a little guidance, their future achievements will not be much worse than his own, and they usually perform well. Still quite at ease. To be continued. Chapter 2723 Dragon Blood Flower. The pavilion was filled with the fragrance of tea, and the 3 of them sat at the table, brewing tea and discussing the Tao, which was very enjoyable. The flattery of Li Jiao and Mi made Ji Ying feel more happy physically and mentally, waved her hands again, and laughed continuously. I don't know how long it took, and suddenly there was a strange sound from somewhere in the medicine garden. Although the sound was soft, the 3 of them were all powerful in the Emperor Senior stage, so how could they not notice it? Ji Ying hurriedly got up, looked towards a certain medicine garden in a certain direction, with an excited expression on her face. The spirit flower is about to bloom. Mi and Li Jiao looked at each other, and they also saw the excitement in each other's eyes. And NB, Li Jiao said. Master Ji's gaze is as bright as a torch. If there is no Master Ji this time, I'm afraid Li would not know that this spirit flower will bloom soon. Mi smiled and said, Master Ji is the alchemist of the Emperor, and he is also a disciple of the great Emperor Miao Dan. He knows all about the world's spiritual flowers and exotic plants. How can you be so rough? I really want you to take care of this spiritual flower. I'm afraid you will miss the best time for flowers to bloom, and waste everything in vain. Yes, Li Jiao nodded repeatedly. Brother Mi is right. If Master Ji hadn't reminded me, such a precious elixir would have been wasted. Since the spirit flower is about to bloom, why don't we go there? How about it? Okay. Ji Ying nodded excitedly, and took the lead to walk over there. Mi and Li Jiao glanced at each other, their eyes secretly met, everything was kept silent. Not long after, the 3 of them came to a certain place in the medicine garden. There was only one elixir plant cultivated here, about 1 foot high, but with intertwined roots. Surprisingly, this elixir exuded a strange aura. If Zhu Qing or Yongkai were here, they would be able to tell at a glance that this aura was dragon aura. It's just that the dragon aura is relatively weak, not as pure as the dragon aura emitted by the 2 of them when they activated the origin of the dragon clan. It is also extremely extraordinary to go around like this. After all, this is just a panacea. Strange to say, this elixir not only exudes a faint dragon aura, but from the outside, it also seems to be a huge dragon that has been shrunk countless times, lying there, and the tiny dragon scales are lifelike on the roots. There are also dragon claws and dragon tails. On the dragon head, a blood-red flower bone is gently stretched, ready to bud, like a nimble butterfly, about to spread its wings and fly high. Ji Ying stood 3 feet in front of this elixir, holding her breath and watching nervously. Judging by his posture, it seems that he is not waiting for a spiritual flower to bloom, but waiting for the birth of a child. Li Jiao looked at the spirit flower that was about to bloom, and with a proud expression on his face, he quietly winked at Mickey. Mickey immediately said, Master Ji, is this dragon's blood flower really so precious? What do you know? Ji Yingzhang was concentrating on watching the front. Hearing Mickey's words, he subconsciously reprimanded him, but soon realized that the person who spoke was not the disciple who had been by his side all the time, but the suzerain of a big sect. The tone softened a little. He explained, you are not alchemists, so naturally you don't know the rarity of this dragon's blood flower. However, Palace Master Li has been cultivating this dragon's blood flower with blood essence. You must know something about it. Li Jiao hurriedly said, I am also confused, and I don't understand the details, so I need to ask Master Ji to clarify. After taking care of her for hundreds of years, how could he not understand, but at this moment, he naturally wanted to pretend not to know, to satisfy the other party's vanity. Ji Ying nodded and said, Dragon blood flower is a specialty of Long Island. In the whole world, only Long Island has something. Do you think it is precious or not? Mi was shocked and said, there is such a thing. Turning to look at Li Jiao, he said, then where did brother Li Jiao get this dragon's blood flower? Li Jiao said with a smile, I went out many years ago and felt that this thing was a bit unusual, so I brought it back. I didn't know that after the transplantation, I found that it gradually withered. I tried to feed it with blood essence, and it brought it back to life. So it has been cultivated with essence and blood all these years. It was a mistake. Mickey nodded slightly. Ji Ying nodded and said, Palace Master Li is right. The reason why this dragon blood flower is a special product of Dragon Island is because it must feed on dragon blood to grow. Looking around the world, where else is there a dragon family besides Dragon Island, so even if the dragon's blood flower appears in other places, it will not survive. The main body of Palace Li has the blood of the dragon, and feeding it with blood essence is the right medicine. Li Jiao is not a simple human race, but half human and half demon. It is said that it is a combination of human and Jiao. Although not many people know this secret in the Northern Territory, Ji Ying and Mi do. The dragon's blood flower feeds on dragon's blood. Although the dragon's blood in Li Jiao's body is a little shallower, it still exists. After years of careful care, the dragon's blood flower has really grown to the point of blooming. I guess, the place where Palace Master Li found the dragon blood flower, there should be a dragon family that fell. If not, there would be no possibility of the birth of the dragon blood flower. Ji Ying said in a deep voice. Li Jiao admired. Master Ji's gaze is like a torch. When I found the dragon's blood flower, I did find a dragon skeleton there. It's just that I don't know how many years it's been dead. It's already decayed and dilapidated. The bones of the dragon clan are immortal, so how could they easily decay and decay? It should be because the dragon's blood flower absorbed the nutrients from the bones. I see. Li Jiao kept nodding like an ignorant child. Ji Ying cheered up and said, with the dragon blood flower, you can refine the dragon blood pill, which will be of great use to Palace Master Li. How do you say that? Li Jiao suppressed the excitement in his heart, and humbly asked for advice. Ji Ying smiled slightly, and said, on Dragon Island, the dragon disciples devour dragon blood flowers. The main purpose is to temper the blood and purify the power of the blood. You should have heard that the blood of the dragon is divided into 3, 6, and 9 classes. The high-level bloodline has a strong suppressive force on the low-level bloodline, so even if the strength of the two dragons is almost the same, if the bloodline gap is too large, the low bloodline side will have no power to fight back against the high-level bloodline of. Both Mickey and Li Jiao nodded slightly. Of course they knew about this. Dragon disciples are born powerful, and they can easily cultivate to the level of Emperor Senior Realm. They don't even need to work hard, and they can have a combat power comparable to Emperor Senior's 3-layer mirror. Their daily practice is to refine the power of bloodlines with purity. As the main goal, the purer the blood, the higher the level, the stronger the strength. Today's Dragon Clan Great Elder is said to be an 8th-level green dragon, whose strength is comparable to that of a great emperor. On top of this, there is even a legendary 9th-level, 10th-order bloodline. Dragon blood flower can be said to be their most important thing. Li Jiao excitedly said, Master Ji means that I can also. That's right. Ji Ying nodded. Although the dragon blood in the main body of Li Palace is a little weaker, it can indeed increase the power of the blood by swallowing dragon blood flowers. Of course, if it can be refined into dragon blood pills, the effect will be even better. Li Jiao's breathing suddenly became short of breath, even though he had inquired about this news secretly, but after confirming it from Ji Ying, he still felt that his hundreds of years had not been wasted. He had obtained this dragon's blood flower hundreds of years ago, and he had been cultivating it with his own blood for so many years, which caused his strength to stagnate after so many years. Although Mickey and him are both three-layer mirrors of Emperor Zun, but if they really want to fight, he is definitely not Mickey's opponent. But it's different now. If he can take this dragon's blood flower and refine it, then his strength will definitely surpass Mickey in one fell swoop. It's just a pity. Ji Ying changed the subject and frowned slightly. What's the pity? Li Jiao was in a panic, afraid of hearing bad words from Ji Ying. Ji Ying smiled and said, Master Li, don't be nervous, I just want to say that the blood of the dragon clan is divided into 3, 6, or 9 grades, and this dragon blood flower is also divided into 3, 6, or 9 grades. Even if the dragon blood flower in front of me really blooms, it is probably the lowest grade. Dragon blood flowers. Such a dragon's blood flower, it is estimated that no dragon clan would take a look at it on Long Island, but it is already the most precious thing in this medicine garden. Just because it's rare, it was because of this dragon's blood flower that Ji Ying stayed in Lilong Palace, otherwise he would have gone to Bingxin Valley and Lingxiao Palace to collect the many elixir in person. He wanted to stay and witness the moment when the dragon's blood flower bloomed, which was also a rare opportunity for an alchemist. Although Ji Ying had studied alchemy with Emperor Miao Dan for so many years, it was the first time she saw the dragon blood flower. As an imperial alchemist, facing the spirit flower he saw for the first time, he was naturally delighted to see it. Mickey said from the side, Master Ji, apart from the magic effect of this dragon blood pill on Brother Li, isn't it useful to human warriors? Ji Ying smiled slightly, and said, how can it be useless? Improve your strength, refine your cultivation, strengthen your body, and the dragon blood pill is infinitely useful. After a pause, he said, Palace Master Li, if you don't worry, after this dragon's blood flower blooms, can you give it to me for refining? Li Jiao was overjoyed when he heard the words. He cupped his fists and said, that's exactly what I mean, it would be best if Master Ji could help you. I can't be happy in my heart. Although he is the Lord of Lilong Palace, it is not easy to find Ji Ying to make alchemy even in his capacity. I have gone to Medicine Pill Valley to ask for alchemy several times before, and every time it was not a huge effort. The price, waiting for a long time. But this time Ji Ying proposed it on his own initiative without asking for any reward. It seems that the dragon's blood flower is also very attractive to Ji Ying. I don't know how many pills can be made by Master Ji's refining. Li Jiao asked cautiously. With a solemn expression, Ji Ying said, I dare not say, but there is absolutely no problem with 3 pieces. In the past, when looking for him to refine alchemy, not only did he have to collect a reward, but he would also keep a third of the alchemy, which was his rule. That's why Li Jiao asked Ji Ying how many pills he could refine, and now he was delighted to hear that there were 3 pills. If so, then he could at least get 2 dragon blood pills, which would be of great help to improve his strength. Congratulations, Brother Li, congratulations, Brother Li. Mickey cupped his fists at the side to congratulate, feeling rather uncomfortable. To be continued. ... Opening parenthesis closing parenthesis. Chapter 2725 Boyfriend and Girlfriend. Although it is said that because of the sudden rise of Lingxiao Palace, even the Wenqing sect was wiped out, Tianzong and Lilong Palace hugged each other to keep warm, and formed an alliance temporarily, but no one had selfish intentions. Mickey naturally didn't want Li Jiao to be too strong. I prayed secretly in my heart, it would be better if Ji Shengying failed in refining the dragon blood pill. However, he also knew that this possibility was unlikely. Ji Shengying was an imperial alchemist, and his art of alchemy was incomparably refined. Since he said that he could make 3 alchemy, he was not boasting, but was really sure of it. Li Jiao laughed out loud, looking very complacent. At this moment, another strange sound came out, and the 3 of them were startled. All of them stared at the dragon blood flower. I saw that the dragon's blood flower that was originally in bud bloomed again at this moment, and the dark red light refracted from it, dazzled the eyes of the flowers. The 3 emperors all hold their breath and pay attention for a moment. The red light became more and more intense, and the flowers bloomed bigger and bigger, as if some new life was being conceived. Trying to break free from the flowers, a faint dragon aura began to permeate everywhere. Boom, boom, boom. Li Jiao's heartbeat was clearly discernible. This matter was related to the improvement of his cultivation and strength, so he was naturally more nervous than the other 2. Suddenly, the life conceived in the flower seemed to be hindered by something. The light suddenly dimmed a bit, and even the flower bone that was about to open was also restrained a lot. A withered feeling enveloped the entire dragon's blood flower. Li Zhao's face changed drastically, and he exclaimed, "Why?" Ji Yingying hurriedly shouted, "Master Li, hurry up and mobilize the essence and blood to feed it, or it will be in danger if it is too late." The growth of the dragon blood flower only feeds on the essence and blood of the dragon clan. At this moment, only Li Zhao can save this strange flower. Hearing Ji Yingying's words, without hesitation, Li Zhao raised his finger, picked out a wound on the fingertip, activated the secret technique, and a drop of rich essence and blood appeared on the fingertip. "Go," he shouted, and the drop of blood drew an arc, flew towards the flower of the dragon's blood flower, and fell steadily into the center of the flower. Nourished by the essence and blood, the dragon's blood flower really exuded vitality again, and the flower buds bloomed at a faster speed than before, and a strange fragrance spread around. On the contrary, it was Li Zhao who forced out a drop of blood. His face was slightly pale, and he looked like he was seriously injured. This drop of blood had cost him at least 10 years of hard work, but when he thought of the magical effect of the dragon blood pill, he immediately felt that everything was worth it. The high-pitched dragon chant sounded suddenly, and the flowers of the dragon's blood flower bloomed all of a sudden, and then a red light shot out from it, rushing straight into the sky like a living thing. Ji Henjing was prepared for a long time ago, and quickly stretched out his hand to grab it. The red light was frozen in midair in an instant, struggling endlessly. Mickey and Li Zhao stared at it with surprised expressions. Because they saw that the red light actually appeared in the shape of a dragon, like a giant dragon that had shrunk countless times. "This is the dragon's blood flower." Li Zhao and Mickey looked at each other, feeling a little inconceivable. This dragon's blood flower does not look like a flower at all, but looks like a dragon spirit. Is this really a dragon's blood flower? Ji Shengying excitedly took out a sandalwood-flavored wooden box, put the dragon's blood flower in it, and sealed the restriction. Then he breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Fortunately, it's not of high grade, otherwise I really can't suppress it. Only Dragon Island can produce dragon blood flowers, and only Dragon Clan can surrender. The spirit flower has bloomed, Master Lao Ji is the one to do alchemy." Li Zhao suppressed the excitement in his heart, and said respectfully, "Well, leave everything to me, and ask Palace Master Li to prepare a cleaner place for me." Ji Yingying nodded and said, "It's easy to say." Li Zhao was overjoyed. He thought that Ji Yingying was going to bring the dragon blood flower back to Medicine Pill Valley to refine it, but what he meant was that he wanted to start the furnace to make alchemy immediately. How could he not be happy? Mi forced a smile and said, "Brother Li, go and make arrangements, as long as Master Ji is with me." Li Zhao nodded and said, "Okay, wait a moment, both of you. Just leave the words." At this moment, Ji Yingying suddenly took out the communication compass from his bosom, felt it a little bit, and his originally joyful expression suddenly turned into an angry face, and he shouted, "Presumptuous." Li Zhao was startled, and hurriedly turned around and asked, "What's wrong?" He thought he accidentally offended Ji Shengying somewhere. Mickey also asked curiously, "Master Ji, what happened?" Ji Yingying said with a sullen face, "Li Zan was beaten." "Li Zan," Mi and Li Zhao muttered, and quickly realized, "Isn't this Master Ji's disciple? That kid is not very old, but he is very talented in both cultivation and alchemy. He was valued and cultivated by Ji Tongying, and he followed Ji Tongying to Lilong Palace a few days ago, but he was sent out to collect the elixir." Bingqin Valley, or the Lingxiao Palace? Mickey's heart was beating wildly, and he couldn't help asking excitedly. If the people from Lingxiao Palace hit Li Zan, it would be a good show. Is there any way for him and Li Zhao Zhengqiu to curb the arrogance of the Lingxiao Palace? It is best to suppress it, but they haven't figured out a way yet. Will the other party take the initiative to send it to the door? It's the High Heaven Palace. Ji Yingying's face was full of anger. "I beat my disciple and took away the source crystal I bought him for the elixir. This High Heaven Palace is absolutely lawless." "What?" Mickey was shocked. "They not only beat people, but also robbed the source crystal. This." I couldn't help laughing up to the sky, thinking to myself, Lingxiao Palace, you are suicidal, and the people in Medicine Pill Valley can move at will. It's just too presumptuous. Lingxiao Palace dares not to take Medicine Pill Valley seriously. I, Li Zhao, are at odds with him." Li Zhao also realized that the opportunity had come, and spoke vigorously. "Palace Master Li, I'm afraid the matter of alchemy will be delayed for a while. This matter is related to the face of my Medicine Pill Valley. I have to go there myself to see what the Lingxiao Palace wants to do." Ji Yingying said angrily. Although Li Jiao was promised first, this matter is of great importance, so naturally there cannot be delay. Otherwise, if the matter spreads, it will damage the face of Medicine Pill Valley and Emperor Miao Dan. This is something that can't be helped. The hatred in Li Jiao's heart, he could get the dragon blood pill immediately, but he didn't want something to go wrong halfway. He didn't have a good impression of Lingxiao Palace, and now it's even worse, hate it to the bone. But Master Ji better not go there alone. Mi frowned. Ji Yingying snorted, what? Could it be that if I go there in person, they dare to behave wildly? Mickey said seriously, if it's really me, a warrior from the northern region, I wouldn't dare to be presumptuous to Master Ji, but I heard that the owner of the Lingxiao Palace was not from the northern region, it seems to be from the southern region, and he is arrogant and cruel, otherwise it will not destroy Wen Qingzong's whole family. It is better to take precautions against such a bloodthirsty person. Master Ji has a noble status and should not be easily involved in danger. Brother Mi is right. Li Jiao also nodded at the side and said, I heard that the boy named Yang Kai is not only rampant and domineering, but also colluded with the monster clan. This matter must be guarded against. Ji Yingying said, even Longtan and Tiger's Den, I will go there too. My disciple was beaten and Yuanjing was robbed. If I keep silent, how can I go back to Yaodan Valley to meet my master? Of course we have to go. Mi winked at Li Jiao, it's just that Master Ji can't go alone. That's right. Li Jiao nodded and said, well, brother Mi and I have nothing to do with each other, so we will go with Master Ji and hold the battle for Master Ji, to see if the Lingxiao Palace is about to fall apart. Quote, Brother Li's suggestion is very good, I agree, if the Lingxiao Palace really dares to disrespect the master, Brother Li and I will try our best to protect you. Then, I'll take care of you too. Ji Yingying didn't refuse, mainly because she was flustered by what the two guys said, and she was really afraid that the Lingxiao Palace would not sell her face and be bad for herself. It's not too late, let's go. Soaring Heaven Palace, on top of a mountain, Yang Kai was lying on the ground with his legs crossed, lazily basking in the sun. The sun is shining, the sky is clear, the sun is shining, and there is beauty. Zhu Qing gritted her teeth and poured wine for him, but brought it to him, saying, drink. In order to be able to stay by his side at all times and not be thrown off by him again, Zhu Qing endured humiliation and endured all kinds of pickiness and driving from Yang Kai, and now serves her more like a maid. Her proud self-esteem was trampled in a mess. Zhu Qing never felt that there was anyone in this world more hateful than the one in front of her. Ah! Yang Kai opened his mouth without moving. Zhu Qing stared at him bitterly, put the wine glass above his mouth, and poured the wine down. Gudong swallowed. Ah! Yang Kai opened his mouth again, narrowing his eyes slightly, with a contented expression on his face. The flames in Zhu Qing's chest were tumbling, wishing to burn the man to death with a mouthful of dragon's breath, but she still stretched out her hand to twirl a grape-like berry and threw it into Yang Kai's mouth. After taking a few mouthfuls, Yang Kai turned sideways, propped his head on his hands, looked at Zhu Qing and said, Qinger, what do you Long Island look like? Zhu Qing said lightly, if you want to know, just follow me. You said this again. Yang Kai frowned, does this friend still have to do it? You asked. A trace of panic flashed across Zhu Qing's face. She finally became a friend with Yang Kai. If he cut off the relationship because of this, it would be over. Yang Kai smiled, looked at her with interest and said, don't you have any other friends? Zhu Qing shook her head. How could the Dragon Clan want any friends? It's ridiculous. Yang Kai said seriously, let me tell you, there are several types of friends. Although we are friends now, they are just the most common ones. Is there anything else? Zhu Qingdai frowned and asked curiously. That's natural. Yang Kai nodded solemnly. On top of ordinary friends, there are close friends, and on top of that are boyfriend and girlfriend. Well, if we are boyfriend and girlfriend, then the relationship is not necessarily the same. If you want me to go to Long Island, you can think about it. Zhu Qing's eyes lit up, and she said, then shall we be boyfriend and girlfriend? You really hope so? Yang Kai looked at her solemnly. Of course, we'll just be boyfriend and girlfriend. Zhu Qing nodded affirmatively. A to be continued. Chapter 2726 Cancer Lingxiao Palace. It doesn't matter if I'm a boyfriend or girlfriend, I'm just afraid of you. Yang Kai grabbed Zhu Qing's little hand and rubbed it lightly, I feel so forced. Tisk tisk, this little hand is slippery and white, it feels like touching the finest silk and satin, making people reluctant to let it go. Zhu Qing frowned, stared at Yang Kai's unbridled movements, twitched a bit, withdrew her little hand, turned her head away and said, "Don't do this, it's weird." Yang Kai said with a straight face, "Didn't you say you want to be a boyfriend and girlfriend?" Zhu Qing wondered, "Do you want to do this for boyfriend and girlfriend?" Of course. Yang Kai sprayed hot air from his nostrils, "This is still the most basic." Zhu Qing couldn't help but hesitate. "Then what else should I do?" Yang Kai rubbed his chin and smiled wickedly, a lot. "Tell me, let me see, if I can do it." Zhu Qing's tender neck turned red, as if she had realized something. Yang Kai quickly took a deep breath to calm down the tumbling qi and blood in his heart, and lay down on Zhu Qing's firm and round thighs, with his head against her lower abdomen, and said comfortably, "Rub it for a few minutes first. Let's try it out." Zhu Qing's face was red, although it was not the first time that she had such close contact with Yang Kai, and there were more extreme ones before, but she still couldn't help feeling a little heartbeat and flustered. Stretching out both hands, two thumbs lightly pressed on Yang Kai's temples, and turned them gently a few times. Yang Kai's bones loosened, he felt like his whole body was flying up to the clouds, up and down, and he was so comfortable that he was about to come out. Thinking that this girl is so cooperative, should I let go of everything and get to know her better from the shallower to the deeper? Suddenly, violent force came from his temples, as if being hit by two sledgehammers at the same time. Yang Kai's face twisted instantly, and his eyes widened. "You treat me as if I really don't understand anything, and you can do whatever you want." Zhu Qing gritted her teeth, and she exploded with brute force that could move mountains and seas, and her two thumbs swung back and forth on Yang Kai's temples like a drill. Death, 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 death. Yang Kai's head was clamped, and his whole body was unable to move, and he slapped the ground hard. "Although I left Long Island for the first time, I'm not a fool. Don't bully me again." Zhu Qing gritted her teeth and kept moving her hands. Yang Kai felt like dying for a moment, his whole body became bad, his body arched, he jumped out of the ground, and kicked Zhu Qing on the head. Zhu Qing waved her hand to block, easily blocked the attack, took advantage of the situation and stood up, opened the distance between Yang Kai and stared at him angrily. Yang Kai shook a few times, still feeling a little dizzy, almost lost his footing, and said indignantly, "You pretended to be innocent with me, it's boring." As if being deceived, a huge trauma appeared deep in my heart. "I've had enough of you." Zhu Qing gritted her teeth and said softly, "It's not that I want to keep you here, you stay here and don't leave, you blame me." Zhu Qing's chest rose and fell, as if there was a volcano inside her chest, which was about to erupt at any moment, and she stomped her foot and said, "Okay, I will never bother you again, and you don't come to me either." Joke. Yang Kai pinched his waist with both hands, spitting stars flying around. "I will not go to you even if all the women in the world are dead." Zhu Qing's face suddenly turned cold, as if she could scrape off a bowl of frost. A layer of mist appeared in her beautiful eyes, and she calmly said, "Remember what you said. Turn around and leave." Yang Kai sneered, raised his hand and waved, "It's easy to leave." But there was no trace of Zhu Qing. The figure flashed, and watching sea suddenly appeared on the top of the mountain, glanced at Yang Kai, then at the direction Zhu Qing left, and said, "Have you had a fight?" "It's not speculative." Yang Kai snorted coldly. "It's still too late to chase, people haven't gone far." Watching Sea looked into the distance. "Woman, just coax me casually, if she gets angry with you, it means that she cares about you. She has other plans." Yang Kai curled his lips and turned to look at Watching Sea. "What are you looking for?" Watching Sea said in a deep voice, "Here we come." Yang Kai looked serious, and sneered, "Sure enough, come, go, follow me to appreciate the demeanor of the disciples of the great emperor's sect." Outside the mountain gate of Lingxiao Palace, outside the protective formation of the sect, a huge building boat lay in midair, like a overwhelming dark cloud, covering most of the sky. On the deck, 5 figures stood tall. Ji Ying stood at the front, waiting with a gloomy expression. Li Jiao, the lord of the Lialong Palace, and Mickey, the lord of the Mission sect, stood quietly by his left and right sides like guards on both sides. The next 2 are Ji Ying's disciples, and Li Zan is among them. Li Zan lost most of his teeth, and his cheeks are still swollen to this day. It's not that the injury is too serious. He is an alchemist himself, and he was born in the Medicine Pill Valley. He naturally has good healing pills on his body. This kind of trauma can be healed casually. It's just that he deliberately kept the injury, hoping that Ji Ying would see it. To let him understand how bullied and humiliated he was in Lingxiao Palace. It turned out to be very effective. When Ji Ying saw that her beloved apprentice was beaten like a pig's head, and even lost most of her teeth, her anger exploded like dynamite. Although Li Zan is only the second-generation disciple of Medicine Pill Valley and not personally passed down by Emperor Miao Dan, he is also a member of Medicine Pill Valley. To be humiliated like this in the Northern Territory is simply unforgivable. But at this moment today, when he came to this Lingxiao Palace in person, he was actually blocked outside the mountain gate, and did not receive the slightest respect and treatment that he deserved, which made him feel less fond of this Lingxiao Palace. It's just outrageous, Li Jiao said indignantly at the side. This Lingxiao Palace is too arrogant. It is their honor for Master Ji to come here in person, but no one came to receive him. This sect is simply rude. It can be said. Mi chimed in and said, that's right, it seems that the Lingxiao Palace doesn't pay much attention to Master Ji or Yao Pill Valley. It's no big deal to watch the excitement. The two wished that Lingxiao Palace would offend Ji Ying as deeply as possible, so naturally they would not let go of this opportunity to stir up trouble. Ji Ying's ugly face became even uglier. He is a disciple of Emperor Miao Dan, and he is a noble alchemist himself. Which sect in the Northern Territory does not treat him as a guest of honor? No matter where you go, you will be warmly received, but when you come to Lingxiao Palace, you are actually shut down. Just now, some kind of chief executive ran out, asked a few words, then shrank back, and there is no sign of anyone until now. This soaring heaven palace is actually so rampant. The so-called hearing is delusion, seeing is believing. He heard Mi and Li Jiao talk about the High Heaven Palace before, and he knew that these two people were afraid of the High Heaven Palace and deliberately smeared it. But at this moment, his personal experience told Ji Ying, this Lingxiao Palace is really not very good. Master, you have to be the master for the disciple. Li Zan jumped out at the right time, snotted and burst into tears beside him, and said vaguely, the master of the Lingxiao Palace not only beat the disciple but also snatched the disciple. He took the source crystal that the disciple used to buy the elixir, and the disciple reported the names of the master and the patriarch, but he didn't take it seriously. Master, you can't let him go easily. What? Ji Ying's complexion changed, and he said ferociously, how dare he ignore patriarch? Although what happened to him and his disciples made him angry, he didn't go to the point of losing his mind. But now that Li Zan said that the Lord of Lingxiao Palace didn't pay attention to Emperor Miaodan, Ji Ying was completely blown up. Li Zan observed his words, rolled his eyes and said, he still said, he also said. What did you say? Ji Ying asked with a sullen face. Li Zan timidly said, I dare not say it. Say. Ji Ying stared at him. The senior brother next to him also said, Junior brother, what did that person say? You can tell the master, don't be afraid. Only then did Li Zan seem to be encouraged. He said that our alchemists are bullshit, and we feel superior just because we know how to make alchemy, but in his eyes it's worthless. Presumptuous. Ji Ying yelled. Li Zan knelt down with a plop, and said, Master, I didn't say that, it was that person. As a teacher, I naturally know that you didn't say it. Ji Ying took a deep breath, calmed down her emotions, raised her hand, and said, get up. Li Zan got up tremblingly, raised his sleeves and wiped the corners of his eyes. No one noticed that the corners of his mouth twitched slightly, revealing a sinister smile. As Ji Ying's disciple, he naturally knew of Ji Ying's rebellion. Emperor Miao Dan is Ji Ying's mentor, and the art of alchemy is the way Ji Ying pursues. These two things occupy an unimaginable position in his mind. Anyone who dares to offend these two obstacles, Ji Ying will not forgive easily. Now under his description, Yang Kai has both, and it would be strange to have a good end. Now let's see how you die. Master Ji, it seems that there is no need for this Lingxiao Palace to exist anymore. If it is really allowed to stay in the Northern Territory, it will be a shame to the Northern Territory. Li Jiao said coldly. I also ask Master Ji to summon the Northern Territory comrades, lead us wipe out Lingxiao Palace together. Mi added. I, Mi Tianzong, would like to devote all my strength to eradicating this cancer for the Northern Territory. Ji Ying frowned and said after a while, I will talk about it after I have met the Lord of Lingxiao Palace. He is not an emotional person, although his anger is uncontrollable, but what he heard just now is just one side of his disciple's words. Although he felt that it was impossible for Li Zan to lie to him, to be on the safe side, he had better meet the Lord of the High Heaven Palace first to see what he really wanted to do. Not too late. Mi and Li Jiao looked at each other, they both knew that this matter should not be rushed, so they remained silent for the moment. On the contrary, Li Zan's expression flashed a little flustered. What he said to Ji Ying was exaggerated, even framed and fabricated. He was really afraid of confronting the lord of Lingxiao Palace, but after thinking about it, he had always behaved well in front of his master. Sensible, presumably at that time even if confronted face to face, there will be no evidence to prove it. As long as I insist on what I said earlier, will the master trust an outsider and not himself? Thinking of this in my heart, I immediately relaxed a lot. Chapter 2727 Maidservant. A red light suddenly appeared, and suddenly flew out from the Lingxiao Palace, directly rushing out of the guardian array. When they got to the front of the building, the red light paused for a moment, revealing a petite and exquisite figure. It was Zhu Qing who left in a fit of anger. In fact, at this moment, she regretted dying in her heart. She had a falling out with Yang Kai just now, and left in a moment of anger, completely forgetting the task the elder ordered, and scolding Yang Kai in her heart for not knowing how to stop or keep her, which made her in an embarrassing situation now. Suddenly seeing a building boat stopped outside the mountain gate, he naturally took a curious look. With a sweeping glance, Mi Qi and Ji Yingying passed by, but paused for a moment on Li Jiao. The corners of his mouth curled slightly, as if he was very disdainful. Inexplicably, Li Jiao's heartstrings tightened, and for no reason he felt as if he was facing an enemy, as if the petite woman in front of him could kill him at will. I was shocked in my heart, amazed how could I have such a feeling. I am already a three-layer mirror of Emperor Zun, the only one in the world who can kill me at will is probably only the Emperor. Could it be that the woman in front of me is a great emperor? This is also impossible. I have never heard of any great emperor who looks like this. Although the Huaying Emperor is a woman, he is definitely not her image. How is this going? Li Jiao couldn't help being suspicious for a while, wondering if he was too nervous and had an illusion. It's you, Li Zan cried out, pointing at Zhu Qing, looking like an enemy who was extremely jealous when they met. Who is she? Ji Yingying asked with a frown. This woman flew out from Lingxiao Palace. She should be from Lingxiao Palace. Could it be the owner of Lingxiao Palace? But it's not right. Didn't it mean that the lord of Lingxiao Palace is a man named Yang Kai? Master, it was her who beat the disciple together with the master of Lingxiao Palace. The disciple suffered so much. Li Zan burst into tears. She did it too. Ji Yingying's expression darkened. That's right, she was the one who hit the disciple first. She is at the Emperor's senior realm, and the disciple is only at the first level of Daoyuan, so he has no power to fight back. Li Zan cried out with snot and tears, his expression extremely sad. Shameless. Ji Yingying scolded angrily. At first, seeing this woman's beauty and refinement, she had some affection for her, but after hearing what Li Zan said, the slight affection disappeared instantly, and she immediately felt that this woman was disgusting no matter what she looked at. As an emperor, you actually bully the weak. It's a disgrace to us and other emperors. Mickey shouted angrily, and Emperor Yuan urged, let me teach you a lesson and seek justice for nephew Li. When the words fell, people had already spread their wings like a great rock and rushed towards Zhu Qing. Ji Hengying's expression moved, as if he wanted to stop Mickey's recklessness, but after thinking about it, he gave up again and stood there with a gloomy expression. It's good to teach him a lesson, lest this Lingxiao Palace is too arrogant. He wasn't worried that Mickey was not his opponent, at least Mickey was also a three-layered mirror of Emperor Zun. No matter how powerful this woman was, she was no match for Mickey. Zhu Qingdai frowned tightly, and a cavity of anger burst out in an instant. Ben was wronged by Yang Kai, but Mickey's voluntary collision just gave her a vent, raised her hand, raised her fist, and punched it hard, hitting Mickey's chest. Mickey flipped his hands, forming a big seal, and said with a sneer, the light of rice grains dare to compete for glory. Pushing forward with both hands, the Emperor's spirit was permeated, and the moves were fierce, as if he wanted to suppress Zhu Qing in one fell swoop. Fen Fist rushed forward, crushing and destroying Mickey's imperial will, and the vortex of power suddenly appeared, like a black hole that swallowed everything, and the knot in the big seal on his chest suddenly shattered. What? Mickey's face changed drastically, and a sense of horror surged deep in his heart. He didn't know that he had underestimated his opponent until now. Although this woman didn't use Diyuan, her power was incredible. It's too late to change the way to save him, so he can only urge Diyuan fiercely for protection. There was a bang. The petite fist hit Mickey's chest, and a large piece of his chest was sunk invisible to the naked eye. Standing behind Mickey, Ji Yingying and others could clearly see the sudden bulge of Mickey's back. It seemed to grow a hunchback, and at the back, the air wave exploded, blasting a big hole in Mickey's clothes. Mickey, the master of Mission Sect, the top sect in the Northern Territory, Mickey, the strongest three-layer mirror of Emperor Zun, flew out directly, hit the protective cover of the building ship, and stuck in the midair in a large font. Hiss! There was a sound of gasping for air. Everyone's eyes were full of horror. Although Mickey is suspected of underestimating the enemy, but being able to beat him like this with one punch, the strength of this woman is beyond doubt. Li Zan, who was excitedly waiting to see Mickey take care of himself, seemed to be pinched by an invisible big hand at this moment. His eyes were about to pop out, his whole body was trembling, and his heart was full of fear. Although he was slapped by Zhu Qing a few days ago, he was fine. If she had hit herself with such strength that day, how could she still be alive? Cold sweat broke out all of a sudden. After being stunned for a long time, Ji Yingying remembered to remove the protective cover of the building and put Mickey inside. My lord underestimated you. Wow. Mickey fell on the deck, and wanted to say something to save face, but in the middle of the sentence, a mouthful of blood spewed out, his face was as pale as paper. Ji Shengying was shocked and quickly gave him a panacea. Who are you guys? Zhu Qing punched Mickey, her mood calmed down a lot, and she asked indifferently, looking ahead. Ji Yingying's face turned angry, thinking that the other party came to humiliate him on purpose. After all, he had already reported his family name to the head manager. Since the other party came out of Lingxiao Palace, how could it be possible that the other party didn't know who he was? This is clearly asking questions knowingly. Is Lingxiao Palace already so arrogant? Qinger, don't be rude. A loud shout came from a distance, and when the voice fell, Yang Kai and Hua Qingxi had already rushed over. Zhu Qing glared at him and turned her gaze aside. Don't think I'll forgive you for calling Qinger. Master Ji came from a long way, and my lord welcomes you at a distance, and hopes to forgive your sin. Yang Kai clasped his fists with a smile, his expression neither humble nor overbearing, and he put himself and Ji Yingying on an equal footing. On the way here, he also knew the other party's identity from Hua Qingxi. The 5 disciples under the seat of Emperor Miao Dan, the Emperor Alchemist Ji Yingying. Ji Yingying said indifferently, Master Yang is too polite, it was Ji who came here uninvited and disturbed your palace. Although I was annoyed that the other party took so long to come over, but if I stretched out my hand and didn't hit the smiling face, I couldn't tear my face as soon as I came up. Yang Kai laughed. I have heard about Master Ji's name for a long time, it really makes my Lingxiao Palace flourish, so why bother? Li Jiao speculated at the side. Palace Master Yang, Master Ji came here in person, but you blocked him from the protective array to speak. Is this the way of Lingxiao Palace's hospitality? Your Excellency is. Yang Kai glanced sharply. Ji Yingying said, this is Li Long Palace, the Lord Li Jiao Li. It turned out to be Palace Master Li, who is the one who vomits blood next to him. Yang Kai turned his gaze to Mickey. Mickey took the elixir to suppress the surging blood in his heart, and at this moment he almost couldn't hold back his mouthful of blood when he heard the words. Ji Yingying said, this is Mickey, the suzerain of the Mission Sect. Yang Kai narrowed his eyes and said, Sect Master Mi is also here. Li Jiao snorted coldly. Why, Palace Master Yang doesn't seem to welcome brother Mi and me very much. Yang Kai touched his chin, thought about it seriously, and said, it's really not very welcome. It's simply inexplicable. The two guys joined together, it seemed that they were here to find fault, and they even asked me if I was welcome. My mind is really sick. Li Jiao almost didn't slow down, his face was ugly. With strength and identity like him and Mickey, even if he doesn't like someone in his heart, he still has to put on a show on the surface. If Yang Kai goes to Helalong Palace, even if he doesn't welcome him, he still has to show welcome. This is Chengfu, who knew that Yang Kai was so straightforward. Yang Kai chuckled and said, but since everyone is here, please come in. While speaking, the guardian array was opened. He made a very reluctant look. Ji Yingying took the boat and flew into the Lingxiao Palace together with the others. Everyone come with me, Yang Kai said, turned and led the way, flew out, turned back and shouted, Qinger, are you still coming in? Zhu Qing stood there with a resentful face, waiting for Yang Kai to apologize to her, and decided in her heart that as long as Yang Kai could say a soft word, he would forgive him for his previous rudeness, but he waited and waited, but he didn't even look at himself glance. I can't help but feel a little sad in my heart. Is it really just gone? What about the tasks entrusted by the elders? What about Zulong Yuan? Hearing Yang Kai's shout at this moment, he quickly turned around and rushed into the Lingxiao palace, stuck behind Yang Kai, pouted his small mouth, looked at Yang Kai's back, opened and closed his lips, and didn't know what he was muttering. It looks like it's swearing. Palace Master Yang, this woman is. Li Jiao asked in a low voice. For some reason, Zhu Qing was behind him, making him feel like a thorn in his back, and he was extremely uncomfortable, as if the person following behind was not a beautiful and delicious beauty, but a beast that wanted to swallow him in one gulp. This feeling made his tailbone all braving the cold. Hee, a mere maidservant, Palace Master Li has taken care of her. Yang Kai said nonsense. Maid. Li Jiao was speechless. Gongzu Yang is humiliating me. Mickey almost choked to death, extremely annoyed. With such a powerful cultivation base, how could she be a maidservant? It is enough to start a sect outside. If she was a maidservant, wouldn't she be inferior to a maidservant? Why do I humiliate you? We have no hatred. Yang Kai grinned and said, if there is any hatred, I will not humiliate you. Wouldn't it be fun to kill you directly? Mickey didn't know what he meant, so he quickly closed his mouth. This Yang Kai didn't look like a guy to provoke. He instinctively felt that it was a wrong decision to accompany Ji Yingying this time. Maybe his reputation would be ruined in the world here. Chinger, go and serve a few cups of tea to the guests. Yang Kai turned around and told Zhu Qing. Zhu Qing's face sank and she glared at Yang Kai. Yang Kai stared. Yes. Zhu Qing gave in helplessly, turned around and flew in another direction. I'll help you. Watching Si hurriedly chased after her. To be continued. Chapter 2728 Longtan Tiger Den. In the main hall of Lingxiao Palace, the host and guest are seated. Ae Xiaoa, say www. Eo Shishiu. Ji Ying's complexion was a bit ugly, because Yang Kai sat down and put him in the second place. This is something that has never happened before. When he travels in the Northern Territory, no matter which sect he goes to, he will be regarded as a guest of honor. This position is prepared for him, and it was the same in Lilong Palace a few days ago. In normal times, Ji Ying probably wouldn't have cared about these things. After all, he was just a guest. No matter how noble his status was, he was just an outsider, and his rank was just a seat, so there was nothing worth worrying about. But he already had a preconceived impression of Ling Xiaogong and Yang Kai, and now he feels that Yang Kai doesn't take himself seriously. Yang Kai didn't take this into consideration. Since he is the master, he should naturally sit down and entertain the guests. Turning his gaze below, he chuckled. It's really a coincidence that Master Ji came here with the two suzerains. Ji Ying said in a deep voice. It's not a coincidence. Ji came here thanks to the escort of Palace Master Li and Sect Master Mi. Yang Kai wondered. Master Ji has a high moral character, and Yaopil Valley is famous in the Northern Territory. Is it possible that there are still people who don't have eyes and dare to trouble Master Ji? The Northern Territory is said to be very peaceful. Li Jiao snorted coldly and said, in the past it was indeed very peaceful, but recently, it's not so good. There is something in the words, and there is something in the meaning. How can Yang Kai not hear it? It is nothing more than saying that because of the birth and rise of Lingxiao Palace, the Northern Territory is not peaceful. I was too lazy to pay attention to him, turned to look at Li Zan behind Ji Ying, and said with a smile, little brother, we meet again so soon. Li Zan's face turned pale, and he exclaimed in surprise, you, what do you want to do? I warn you not to mess around. Half of it was pretending, half of it was really frightening. Last time I suffered a big loss at the hands of Yang Kai, and I still have lingering fears. Yang Kai sneered. Little brother really knows how to joke. It seems that the last time the palace lord didn't entertain him well, which made the little brother complain. If you have time, the little brother might as well stay as a guest for a while. The palace lord will let you felt at home. Li Zan said angrily. The devil wants to be your guest here. A novel, __. With the master here, he has grown a lot more courageous, and he no longer needs to bow his knees like last time. Zhu Qing and Hua Qingxi came up with tea and offered them to everyone one by one. Hua Qingxi is okay. However, Zhu Qing threw the teacup on the table and splashed all the tea on the table. Yang Kai was furious and said, what are you doing? Is there any courtesy yet? I'm talking about you. Come back. There was no sign of Zhu Qing. She withdrew immediately after serving the tea. Yang Kai yelled for a while, and then he said helplessly, Master Ji, don't blame, this girl is a bit wild, my palace master will definitely teach her a lesson. Ji Ying said indifferently, there are some small things, don't worry about them. Yang Kai smiled slightly. Master Ji has a lot of people, but I don't know why Master Ji came to my Lingxiao palace this time. Mickey stood up against the table, and said with a sneer, Master Yang, why bother to ask knowingly, what did you do a few days ago, don't you know? Yang Kai squinted at him and said, I don't know what this palace master has done to make sect master Mi so excited. It should be the first time I have met sect master Mi, and I have nothing to do with you, Mi Tianzong. Mickey snorted and said, my seat and Palace Master Li are here today just to seek justice for this nephew Li. Palace Master Yang, you must know that if you do many injustices, you will kill yourself. Please respect yourself, otherwise it will be for you. Soaring Heaven Palace has brought disaster. Li Jiao also nodded aside and said, Brother Mi is right. Yang Kai narrowed his eyes and said, so, the two of you are here to embarrass my High Heaven Palace. But I don't know where my High Heaven Palace offended you to. Mi Chi said, it's not me and Brother Li that you offended, but Yaopil Valley. Yaopil Valley is a holy place in the Northern Territory, offending Yaopil Valley is tantamount to offending the entire Northern Territory. As a person from the Northern Territory, naturally you can't stand by and watch. Quote. Yang Kai said in surprise, when did I offend Yaopil Valley? Ji Ying said with a sullen face, my incompetent disciple's injury is still there, will Palace Master Yang open his eyes and talk nonsense? Yang Kai turned his head to look at him, and glanced at Li Zan's swollen cheeks. AA sent AAA it seems that I just came back to my senses, and said with an oh, I see. Ji Ying looked at him expressionlessly, Master Yang, please don't say that my disciple was not injured by you. That's right, I did. Yang Kai nodded and admitted. Ji Ying was furious, and said through gritted teeth, Master Yang is also in the Emperor's prestige realm, why should she bully the weak? Humiliate my disciples? Is it possible that I really don't take my medicine elixir seriously? Yang Kai, you are presumptuous. Master Ji, what happened this time must not be let go, otherwise there will be no face for the medicine pill valley if it is spread. Li Jiao and Mi Chi said angrily, as if it was not Li Zan who was beaten but the two of them, they couldn't wait to encourage Ji Ying to show some color to Yang Kai. What else do you have to say? Ji Ying looked at Yang Kai with a heavy face. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows and said, if the child did something wrong, can't he teach him a lesson? Did something wrong? A trace of anger flashed across Ji Ying's face. My disciple has always been well-behaved and sensible, but I don't know what he did wrong to let Master Yang teach him like this. Yang Kai glanced at Li Zan with a smile, thought for a while and said, I want to know what he said to Master Ji. Ji Ying snorted coldly, and ordered, Shuaner, tell me in detail what happened to you that day. Don't be afraid, the teacher will make the decision for you. This. Li Zan hesitated for a moment. After all, what he said in front of Ji Ying was all arranged by himself. Now that Yang Kai is here, Li Zan really doesn't have the guts to confront him face to face. However, if you don't confront him, you will appear to be too guilty, and the slander will be exposed. With Master's temper, you will definitely not be able to tolerate yourself at that time. But if Master is willing to believe in himself, it doesn't matter what he says. At this point, Li Zan's eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness, and he secretly made a decision in his heart. It's like this. Although Li Zan is young, he is also eloquent. Under his explanation, he was ordered by Ji Ying to come to the Lingxiao Palace to buy medicine that day, but the Lingxiao Palace blocked him from the mountain gate. He waited for several days. Finally someone came to question him, and after knowing his purpose, he beat him directly. Not only did he beat him into injuries, but he also took away the source crystal he used to buy the elixir. While speaking, Li Zan seemed to recall what happened that day. Li Zan's face was pale and his body trembled uncontrollably. Did he wipe away his tears, which made the listener sad, smelling the tears, and at the end, his articulateness became more and more serious. Clearly, the voice became louder and louder, and the waist straightened, as if I had really encountered those things. Ji Ying's complexion became more and more ugly, but Mi Chi and Li Jiao were secretly happy. They knew that the worse Li Zan's situation was, the more trouble this Lingxiao Palace and Yang Kai would have. Look at what you've done. When Li Zan finished speaking, Mickey immediately jumped up, pointed at Yang Kai and said angrily, it's okay to bully a Daoyuan realm with the status of Emperor Senior Realm, but he even robbed me, and I lost my northern territory. The face of a warrior. Yang Kai regarded him as nothing, but looked at Li Zan with a smile and said, are you sure you have nothing to add? Li Zan trembled, and quickly hid behind Ji Ying. Palace Master Yang, are you threatening my disciple? Ji Ying looked at Yang Kai coldly. Yang Kai shrugged his shoulders and said, it's not a threat, it's just a question. So you admit it? Yang Kai frowned, staring at Ji Ying and said, Master Ji believes what his disciple said. Ji Ying hummed, my disciple has been in my sect for 10 years. I watched him grow up. I still know his nature very well. He is definitely not a person born out of nothing. Yang Kai spread his hands and said, if you say that, it seems useless for me to say anything. Ji Ying snorted, do you have a different theory? No, I just feel that the way Master Ji treats people with his disciples is really not very good. Ji Ying squinted her eyes and said, if you have any excuses, I can listen to them, but if you don't, there is no need for the Lingxiao Palace to exist, and you have to follow me back to Yaodan Valley to plead guilty. Quote, words can decide the fate of a top sect, and only the direct disciples of Emperor Miao Dan have this qualification. Yang Kai narrowed his eyes and said, what is my fault? Ji Ying said, it is the greatest sin not to pay attention to my master Miao Dan, and to despise alchemists all over the world. Yang Kai said sharply, if the disciples of Emperor Miao Dan's sect are as rotten as you, and as cunning and changeable as Li Zan, then the palace master really doesn't pay attention to him, so what is Medicine Pill Valley, shit holy land of the Northern Territory? Ji Ying's face changed drastically, presumptuous. Yang Kai looked at him disdainfully, and said, why, I'm presumptuous, bite me if you have the ability. You. Ji Ying pointed at Yang Kai, wishing he could go up and bite him, but even though he has the cultivation base of the second-order emperor, he is only an alchemist, and he has very little experience in fighting with others. Really risk yourself. Looking aside, Mickey and Li Jiao understood, they urged Di Yuan together, and they were about to pounce on him. 3 sensational demonic auras suddenly exploded, and 3 figures shot out from outside the hall, standing in front of Mitn and Li Jiao. Want to make a move? Give it a try. Zile clenched his fists and looked at the front speculatively. Mitn and Li Jiao's expressions were startled, and they froze in place for an instant, feeling extremely nervous. Although they knew that there were strong demon clansmen in Lingxiao Palace, and that the Wenqing sect was destroyed because of the intervention of the demon clan, they never expected that it was actually 3 demon kings. With 2 versus 3, they have no chance of winning at all, not to mention that there is still a woman named Qinger in Lingxiao Palace. That woman sent Mickey flying with 1 punch, and her strength is probably stronger than the 3 demon kings. Longtan Tiger Den, how can there be so many strong people in this Lingxiao Palace? With such a background, it seems that it is not much worse than the Great Emperor's sect, but there is one less Great Emperor. Ji Ying also felt cold all over. He hadn't been in such a dangerous situation for many years. The rolling evil spirit almost made him breathless, but he was finally a disciple of the Great Emperor. Panic. To be continued. Chapter 2729 Photo Mirror, thanks to the leader, Lao Ma's Sky. Chapter 2729 Photo Mirror, thanks to the sky of the leader, Lao Ma. I got up early and saw a big surprise. Thanks to the leader, Lao Ma, the sky is red 3 times, and the reward of 250,000 coins made Wu Lian rush to the 6th place in the total sales list. Thank you, little Mo. What do you want to do? Ji Ying looked at Yang Kai with a heavy face. Yang Kai Dao. I don't want to do anything, it's just that Master Ji is willing to believe what his disciple said. My palace master feels that it is useless to argue anyway, and I am too lazy to do that verbal dispute. I just want to show you something. What? Ji Ying frowned, not knowing what Yang Kai was making trouble with. Yang Kai clapped his hands, looked out of the hall, and said, come in. Several people looked out of the hall together, only to see a person walking from outside, standing in the center of the hall, cupping his fists and saying, I have seen the palace master. Yang Kai nodded slightly. Master Nanman, why are you here? Both Mickey and Li Jiao stared wide-eyed, looking at the army from the south gate, they couldn't believe their eyes. As the suzerains of the top sects in the Northern Territory, the 2 of them have naturally dealt with the Nanman army. They know that this person is extremely accomplished in the way of formation, and he is somewhat arrogant. Sect Daijin wanted him to join his sect, but unfortunately he failed. Seeing the Nanman army appearing here, and showing such respect to Yang Kai, both Michi and Li Jiao felt unreal. Is this still the South Gate army? There are times when you bow your head to others. I am the chief formation master of Lingxiao Palace now, why can't I be here? Nanman Daijin cast a glance at the 2 of them. Chi Foray Master. Master Nanman, you, hey. When Li Jiao and Mi Chi heard the words, they were both shocked and disappointed. They have won over the South Gate army countless times, but they were all rejected by him. How long has it been since the establishment of Lingxiao Palace, and they have subdued him? What kind of methods did this guy named Yang Kai use? Yang Kai pouted and said, Master Nanman, take that thing out. Yes. The Nanman army responded, and suddenly took out a few formation flags from the space ring, and arranged them around. In just a short while, a formation has been arranged properly, but everyone sees it in a cloud, and they don't understand what he wants to show everyone by arranging the formation at this time. The army of the South Gate took out another object from the space ring. It looked like a mirror. The strange thing was that there was no reflection in the mirror, which made people feel a little numb. Holding up this mirror-like thing, Nanman Daijin said, I got this thing in my early years. It is called a photo mirror, which can record some images. I don't know how it was formed. I have seen it with several master craftsmen, but no one knows what kind of material it is, and it's not very useful in ordinary times, so today it's showing its ugly head. A photo mirror. Record video. When everyone heard this, they vaguely understood what the South Gate army meant by this move. Li Zan's face turned pale, and he looked at the photo mirror stupidly, as if he didn't expect such a magical thing to exist in this world. Ji Ying frowned, and looked back at Li Zan thoughtfully. Li Zan couldn't help but dodge his eyes, which made Ji Ying's face even more ugly. The South Gate army stretched out their hands and threw the photo mirror into the air. They waved a banner in their hands, and the emperor rose up. In an instant, there was a haze in the center of the hall, and a ray of light suddenly refracted from the photo mirror and cast it around. A fairly clear picture suddenly appeared in the center of the hall. Everyone looked intently, and instantly recognized the scene in this picture as the mountain gate of Lingxiao Palace, because the plaque engraved with the 3 characters of Lingxiaozong was right in the center of the picture, making it clearly visible. At this moment, there are 4 figures in the picture. One of them is that Li Zan. Besides him there are 3 women, 2 of them are the 2 women who left before, and the one named Qinger is impressively among them. No sound came out, and the photo mirror seemed to only record images. As the Nanman army urged Emperor Yuan to move, the scene was constantly changing, as if reappearing the scene of the past, lifelike. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Li Zan came to Zhu Qing's side, and said something with a playful smile, but Zhu Qing ignored her with a cold face. Several times, Li Zan started to move towards Zhu Qing. Zhu Qing looked annoyed, but she just dodged. After a while, seeing Li Zan's actions getting more and more presumptuous, Zhu Qing just slapped Li Zan and sent Li Zan flying. After a while, Yang Kai suddenly appeared, and after asking a few words, he slapped Li Zan hard and knocked his teeth out. The screen changes, showing what happened in front of the mountain gate that day one by one, until Li Zan left in despair. The screen suddenly freezes. The South Gate army collected the formation flag and the photo mirror, clasped fists at Yang Kai, turned and walked out of the hall. Li Jiao and Mi Chi looked at Li Zan strangely, their expressions were angry and funny. They have already experienced Zhu Qing's strength. It is a powerful existence that even they are not opponents. This Li Zan dared to touch her. It would be a fluke to be slapped. If there were no disciples of Medicine Pill Valley, this layer of protective clothing, I'm afraid he died at that time. The hateful thing is that this guy is talking nonsense, slandering Yang Kai, not only beating him, but also robbing his source crystal, which made the 2 of them follow in a daze, and now it is difficult to get away. Ji Ying's eyes were burning, and she turned her head and glared at Li Zan, with disappointment and pain on her face. Master, I was wrong, the disciple is really wrong, please punish me. Li Zan knelt down with a plop. With the image recorded by the photo mirror, he knew that no matter how he tried to defend himself, it would be useless. Now he can only admit his mistake quickly, and hope that the master will not drive him out of the door because of the friendship between master and apprentice. I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Ji Ying was heartbroken, and slapped Li Zan angrily. In the past, Li Zan was very well behaved and sensible in front of him. He really didn't expect his disciple to dare to act like this. Yes, he was absolutely disappointed. Master. Li Zan was horrified, and squatted on the ground, covering his head with his hands. That slap did not fall for a long time. After a long time, Ji Ying let out a long sigh, put down his hands, and said calmly, let's go. Li Zan raised his head and looked at Ji Ying in astonishment. From now on, you are no longer my disciple, Ji Ying, and you are no longer a disciple of Yaopil Valley. If you dare to act in the name of a disciple of Yaopil Valley, I will not go around you. Ji Ying said with a flick of her sleeve. Master. Li Zan panicked now, knowing that Ji Ying was really going to drive him out of the door. Being a disciple of Medicine Pill Valley has many advantages, and he still has a bright future, so how could he be willing to leave? If he really became an abandoned disciple of Medicine Pill Valley, I'm afraid that there would be no place for him anywhere in the vast northern region. Say one more word, and I'll kill you. Ji Ying didn't look at him, her expression was determined, she was determined to drive him out of Medicine Pill Valley. This kind of stingy villain who confuses black and white and creates something out of nothing, hates himself for not seeing clearly before. If he continues to stay in Medicine Pill Valley, maybe at some point he will ruin the reputation of Medicine Pill Valley, and if he really hurts the reputation of Master, then he never die. Li Zan originally wanted to plead for mercy, but how dare he say anything after hearing this? The senior brother next to him winked at him, and Li Zan stood up with tears in his eyes and rushed out of the hall. The hall was silent for a while, only the sound of Yang Kai drinking tea. After a long while, Ji Ying regained his composure and laughed at himself. It seems that Palace Master Yang is right, I really don't have a good eye for accepting disciples. Yang Kai said indifferently, if there is no mirror of Master Nanman today, I am afraid that the master of the palace will not be able to argue. If he and Li Zan were to confront each other face to face, they would each speak their own words without evidence. At that time, Ji Ying would definitely rather believe Li Zan than herself. If the reputation of despising Yaodan Valley and bullying and robbing Yaodan Valley's disciples is confirmed, how can Lingxiao Palace gain a foothold in the northern territory? Knowing that he was resentful, Ji Ying clasped her fists and said, today's matter, Ji Mo was abrupt and believed the villain's words. I hope that Gongzu Yang will not blame him. Ji Mo is here to apologize to Yang Gongzu. Then he stood up and bowed to Yang Kai. Yang Kaidwan couldn't sit still, and said lightly, Master Ji is polite, since the misunderstanding is solved, it's no big deal. Ji Ying said, Master Yang has a lot of people, Ji is ashamed. After a pause, he said, but there is one thing that Ji still has to say. Yang Kai looked at him and said, please tell me. It's Ji who came here today, what Palace Master Yang said before, I can think of it as anger, and I don't care about it, but if Palace Master Yang meets my senior brothers in the future, he can't say those things anymore. What? Yang Kai frowned. Contempt for the words of my medicine elixir. Ji Ying said seriously. Yang Kai suddenly remembered that he seemed to say that Yaopil Valley was a fart. Sun Ran smiled and said, I wrote it down. It was indeed an angry remark at the time. Ji Ying said solemnly, although alchemists of my generation did not deliberately pursue martial arts, what we cultivated was one of the great avenues in the world. Those who entered the Tao with alchemy and were promoted to the position of emperor, looking at ancient and modern times, there is only one teacher. The Medicine Pill Valley created, not only the holy place in the hearts of warriors in the Northern Territory, but also the holy place in the hearts of alchemists in the world. If the words of Palace Master Yang are spread by those who are interested, they may offend all alchemists. What will happen to Lingxiao Palace in the future? Ask someone to make alchemy. Mi-Chi and Li Zhao's eyes lit up when they heard this, and they secretly thought about whether they wanted to spread Yang Kai's previous words so that he could become an enemy of the world's alchemists. Yang Kai laughed and said, there is no need to ask for help, the palace master can do it himself. Ji Ying was stunned and looked at Yang Kai in amazement. Could it be that Palace Master Yang is still an alchemist? Even Mi-Chi and Li Zhao's eyes widened, looking at Yang Kai in disbelief, as if they had heard some sensational remarks. Yang Kai nodded and said, know a thing or two. Ji Ying couldn't help being interested. May I ask what rank is Palace Master Yang, and what kind of elixir can he refine? Yang Kai stroked his chin and said, what grade is it that can refine an emperor-level panacea? What? Ji Ying was shocked. If he could refine the emperor-level panacea, he would be an emperor alchemist. Looking at the entire star world, how many emperor alchemists are there? Regardless of how many of their senior brothers have already reached this level, it is because Emperor Miao Dan has extremely high requirements for accepting disciples, and he has personally taught them for so many years. If they have not made any achievements, does it mean that Emperor Miao Dan has a bad vision? They are them, others are others, apart from them in the entire star world, there are only 10 people in the entire star world. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2730 Dare to Bet. Chapter 2730 Dare to Bet. Ji Ying was really surprised when he heard Yang Kai say that he could refine the emperor-level panacea. Soon, his face darkened again, and he said with some displeasure, could it be that Palace Master Yang is joking? Emperor-level panacea is so easy to refine, only the emperor-level panacea can be refined. If anyone could become an emperor alchemist, then the emperor alchemist would not have such a high status in the star world. Seeing that Yang Kai is obviously young, he is already a genius who can raise his cultivation base to emperor senior stage, so how can he have time to learn alchemy? So Ji Ying concluded that Yang Kai was talking nonsense. This is simply a humiliation to the alchemists in the world, and contempt for the way of alchemy. Sure enough, this person didn't pay much attention to the alchemist. Although the rebel Li Zan turned black and white and created something out of nothing, he was right in saying this. Ji Ying was annoyed and wished she could leave with a flick of her sleeves. Since I misunderstood him just now, I couldn't hide my face. However, the expression on his face obviously sank. Master Ji doesn't believe it. Yang Kai looked at Ji Ying. Ji Ying snorted. Do not believe it. Yang Kai smiled lightly. He is the Emperor Alchemist and the Emperor Alchemist, there is no need to prove anything to others, but after thinking about it, he suddenly raised his eyebrows and said, since Master Ji doesn't believe it, do you dare to take a gamble? A gamble? Ji Ying frowned, what are you betting on? Just bet on whether the Palace Master is the Emperor Alchemist. Yang Kai smiled slightly. Ji Ying frowned even more. Yang Kai's confident appearance made him wonder, is this guy really an Emperor Alchemist? If so, that's a big deal. A person who can become a master of alchemy is enough for him to face up to it. This made him a little curious and wanted to verify the facts. What's the bet? Let me think about it. Yang Kai scratched his head pretentiously, looked left and right, and suddenly clapped his hands and said, yes, at the beginning of my establishment of Lingxiao Palace, it was a time when everything was waiting to be done, and now there is a chief. The formation master just needs a chief alchemist. If Master Ji loses, how about being the chief alchemist of my Lingxiao Palace? Mi Qi and Li Jiao were shocked when they heard the words, and they all tried to dissuade them. Master Ji, don't trust him. You can't bet with him. The High Heaven Palace is already difficult enough. If Ji Ying becomes the chief alchemist and gets involved with the Medicine Pill Valley, no one in the northern region will be able to do anything to get the High Heaven Palace in the future. Dragon Palace can only live on the breath of Lingxiao Palace. Mickey and Li Jiao are not willing to see such a situation. Shi Lei stared and said, shut up. Although Mi Qi and Li Jiao were dissatisfied, they did not dare to speak anymore. Ji Ying was stunned for a moment, then laughed and said, it turns out that Lord Yang's idea is this. Yang Kai chuckled lightly. Master Ji dare to bet. Ji Ying said, Ji's bet is to become the chief alchemist of your Lingxiao Palace, so how dare you ask Palace Master Yang's bet? Yang Kai said frankly, if I am not the Emperor Alchemist, Master Ji can do whatever he wants. My Palace Master has no complaints. Ji Ying's face was condensed, and Yang Kai's words made him realize that the other party seemed to be not talking nonsense, but really had something to rely on, and this support was undoubtedly the identity of the Emperor Alchemist. Is he really an alchemist? Ji Ying already believed in her heart, but she was still a little shocked. At such an age, how can he still have time to practice alchemy, not to mention that his cultivation base has reached the Emperor Senior realm? He is an Emperor Alchemist himself. Knowing the thorns and hardships on this road, he can naturally appreciate the rarity of an Emperor Alchemist. After thinking about it seriously, Ji Ying said, it's not right, Palace Master Yang's gambling method is not right, it's too much of Ji's advantage. Whether Yang Kai is an Emperor Alchemist or not is only known to him. If he really bet against him like this, he would be too stupid. Winning a bet is of no benefit, but losing a bet is self-defeating. Ji Ying is not so stupid yet. Master Ji dare not. Yang Kai smiled slightly. Ji Ying shook her head and said, don't use aggressive methods, Ji will not be fooled. The more Yang Kai said this, the more he felt that Yang Kai was setting himself up. Once he lost the bet, he would become the chief alchemist of Lingxiao Palace. How could he have a leisurely life in the future? Although alchemy is as simple as eating and drinking for him, but he is the direct disciple of Emperor Miao Dan, how can he become an alchemist of another sect? What's more, if this huge sect started refining alchemy, wouldn't it exhaust him to death? Yang Kai scratched his chin and said, is that so, then let's change the bet. Ji Ying frowned and said, "What does Palace Master Yang want to do?" She instinctively felt something was wrong. Yang Kai Dao. The bet remains the same. Master Ji and I will compare the alchemy technique to refine the same kind of elixir, and see who can refine the elixir with more quantity and high quality. Ji Ying was taken aback, stared and said, You want to bet on alchemy with me? Did you hear me right? As the disciple of Emperor Miao Dan, someone wants to compare alchemy skills with him. Mi Qi and Li Jiao also had weird expressions on their faces. They looked Yang Kai up and down seriously, wanting to see if this guy was sick. It's not good to compare with Ji Ying. Isn't this just looking for abuse? That's right, it's better than alchemy. Yang Kai nodded slightly and said provocatively, Master Ji, don't you dare. Ji Ying's complexion darkened, and said, Master Yang, Ji Mo's rebellious disciple turned black and white before. It's okay to be disciplined by Ji Mo, and Ji Mo also apologized to you and admitted his mistake. Since Master Yang can start a sect, is he also a narrow-minded person, so repeatedly looking for Jia's troubles, do you have to humiliate Ji? A. If it is considered reliable for Yang Kai to bet on whether he is an emperor alchemist before, it would be too stupid to bet on alchemy with him now. Ji Ying thinks that Yang Kai is deliberately provoking trouble, looking for his trouble. Yang Kai shook his head and said seriously, That's not the case. I really want to compete with Master Ji in alchemy, and I sincerely hope that Master Ji can become the chief alchemist of my Lingxiao Palace. As soon as the words came out, Ji Ying was furious. Do you think you can beat me? The original displeasure turned into anger, and Yang Kai's words were no longer deliberately looking for trouble for him, but a complete humiliation. Why does he think he can become the chief alchemist of Lingxiao Palace? All of this must be based on his winning. I have followed my master to learn alchemy for so many years, and all I have learned is what my master taught me. To humiliate yourself is to humiliate the master. How could Ji Ying tolerate it? Originally she felt a little guilty towards Yang Kai because of Li Zan's matter, but at this moment, the guilt was gone, and her chest was filled with anger. Yang Kai got up slowly, took a step forward, and said with a smile, Master Ji, dare you or not? Ji Ying's eyes were burning, and she was so angry that she didn't know what to say. Yang Kai turned a blind eye and said, If Master Ji doesn't dare to say it, then forget it. The palace master Quan Dang didn't say that. Why don't you dare? Ji Ying slapped the table, and was provoked face to face. How could Ji Ying bear it? If Yang Kai said that he was not as good as him than life and death, Ji Ying would bear it. After all, he doesn't fight with others very much, but now it involves alchemy. Whether Ji Ying is willing or not, he must accept this bet. Rectify your name, rectify the name of the Medicine Pill Valley, and rectify the name of the Miao Dan Great Emperor. Make anyone who underestimates them pay the price. Okay. Yang Kai clapped his hands. But the bet has to be changed. Ji Ying snorted coldly. How to change? Yang Kai raised his eyebrows. Ji Ying pointed at Yang Kai. If Ji wins, he will take the head of Palace Master Yang's head. If you dare to bet on alchemy with me, I will play a big game with you to see if you are afraid. It's a matter of life and death. I'm afraid no one can be indifferent. Ji Ying thought that after she changed the bet, Yang Kai would definitely panic. Unexpectedly, Yang Kai just thought about it, then nodded and said, Okay, just as Master Ji said. Ji Ying was stunned, and the anger in her heart became more and more intense. How many years? He has not been so angry for a long time. In fact, he didn't really want Yang Kai to die, he just wanted to scare Yang Kai away, but this person accepted his bet without changing his face. Does he really have the confidence to win himself? How is this possible? Even if they are both emperor alchemists, there is still a gap in their alchemy skills. The only emperor alchemists in the world who can surpass him in alchemy are his senior brothers. Damn it, Ji Ying has never felt that anyone is more hateful than Yang Kai. There should be a bottom line for contempt for herself, bastard. With an angry look on his face, Ji Ying said, Yang Gong mainly don't want to change the bet. It's okay if you want Ji's life. Yang Kai laughed. I only want Master Ji to become the chief alchemist of my Lingxiao Palace. What do I want your life for? Then it depends on whether you have the ability. Ji Ying waved her sleeves angrily. Since the bet has been set, let's discuss what kind of panacea to refine. Yang Kai looked at Ji Ying and said. Gongzu Yang decides, Ji doesn't care. There was a strong confidence in the words. It seemed that no matter what kind of elixir Yang Kai wanted to refine, he would not care. But he does have this qualification. After so many years of alchemy, He has not refined any kind of panacea, but the dragon blood pill has not been refined, because the dragon blood flower has never been obtained. Then, Emperor Yuan pill. Yang Kai thought for a while and quickly gave an answer. Ji Ying looked up at Yang Kai, and said solemnly, Master Yang, are you sure you want to refine the Emperor Yuan Dan? Although the Emperor Yuan Dan is the best refined among the Emperor level elixir, it is also the most refined alchemy technique. Why don't you switch to a Dao Yuan level spirit pill instead? This guy is really a master of alchemy. As soon as Yang Kai proposed to refine Emperor Yuan pill, Ji Ying confirmed this point. Because although the Emperor Yuan Dan is the most common and best refined among the Emperor level elixir, only the Emperor alchemist can refine it, and they are very particular about the art of alchemy. Just like the simpler the dishes, the more the cooking skills are tested. This principle is also the same in the art of alchemy. With the same material, an ordinary Emperor alchemist may only be able to refine 3 or 4 Emperor Yuan pills, but when Ji Ying in my hand, I can definitely make 9 pills. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2731 As Big as You Get. Phone reading. I saw another surprise. Thank you leader Zhuang Shengxiao for the reward of 100,000 yuan, thank you so much. Xiaomo suddenly felt that he was awesome. 9 is the ultimate number, and a furnace of panacea can only produce 9 pills at most. Pinshu.com www.vodtw.com. The suggestion to change to a Daoyuan level panacea is not because Ji Ying has no chance of winning, but just because she doesn't want to win without martial arts. He has been an Emperor alchemist for many years and has refined countless Emperor Yuan pills. Even if Yang Kai is also an Emperor alchemist, it is impossible for him to have such rich experience. If he chooses to refine Emperor Yuan pill, he will take advantage of it invisibly. It can be replaced by Daoyuan level panacea. Although he still has an advantage, at least everyone's starting point will not be too different. Yang Kai shook his head and said, No need, thank you Master Ji for your kindness, I will refine the Emperor Yuan pill. He naturally understood why Ji Ying made this proposal, and his impression of him suddenly improved a little. Not everyone can become the chief alchemist of Lingxiao Palace, even if this Ji Ying is the direct disciple of Emperor Miao Dan. If his character is not good enough, Yang Kai will not hit him with ideas. Before Li Zan's matter, he was able to bow his head and admit his mistake, even apologized, and expelled Li Zan from the Medicine Pill Valley in front of him, which made Yang Kai feel that this Ji Ying had a good heart and a kind character. Looking at it now, it really is so. Thinking about it from another angle, he is the disciple of Great Pill Pill and a member of Medicine Pill Valley. Even if he didn't apologize to Yang Kai before, Yang Kai had nothing to do with him, unless he really wanted to risk offending Yao Pill Valley. A single one is enough. Although this Ji Ying has a good background and a noble status, he does not have the hypocritical arrogance of most alchemists. Coupled with his status as an Emperor alchemist, if he can become the chief alchemist of Lingxiao Palace. From then on, Yang Kai wouldn't need to worry about Zongmen's spirit pill. He even said that Ji Ying could train a group of alchemists for Lingxiaozong. For the development of a sect, it is impossible to rely on one person alone. Only by being comprehensive can we move forward. Since Palace Master Yang insists on this, then Ji has no problem. Ji Ying said in a deep voice, feeling aggrieved by being treated like a donkey. Turning his hands, he took out a bunch of medicinal materials, divided them into 2 parts, looked at Yang Kai and said, These 2 parts are the medicinal materials for refining Emperor Yuan pill. There is no difference in quality or age. Palace Master Yang, please check. Yang Kai smiled and said, Master Ji is a man, I can trust him. Then you choose one, Ji Ying said. Yang Kai chose one at random. Ji Ying's reputation and status were placed here. Even if he wanted to win Yang Kai, he would use alchemy to defeat him. It is impossible to play any conspiracy. Seeing Yang Kai's relaxed and free-spirited look, Ji was a little annoyed for no reason, and coldly snorted, If that's the case, then let's start. Since Palace Master Yang is an Emperor alchemist, he should have his own alchemy furnace. Do you need me? Lend you one? No need. Yang Kai smiled and shook his head. Since it is necessary to compete against alchemists, it is naturally a duel in public, and it is impossible to hide it. He didn't even move, and directly opened his posture in the hall. Ji Ying threw it away casually. A 3-legged alchemy furnace flew out and landed firmly on the ground. As soon as the alchemy furnace appeared, a peculiar fragrance filled the hall, like orchids and musk deer, which shook people's spirits. The alchemy furnace is simple, obviously aged. The faucets at both ends stand upright, lifelike, and seem to be the key to adjusting the size of the fire, and the inside of the furnace is covered with dense rune patterns, which makes people feel dizzy at a glance. An emperor's will fill the air. Good furnace. Yang Kai's eyes lit up. Full of praise. As an alchemist, he naturally has a special love for a good alchemy stove. As soon as Ji Ying took out this alchemy stove, Yang Kai knew that it was not an ordinary thing, and from the fragrance that pervaded it, Ji Ying would definitely use this alchemy stove. The alchemy furnace has refined countless spirit pills, and it should have reached a state of oneness with this alchemy furnace. Ji Ying said proudly, "This is the worst alchemy furnace in Ji's hands." Taking out the worst is nothing more than not wanting to take advantage, but also confidence in one's own strength. Yang Kai nodded slightly, raised his hand, and threw out his alchemy furnace. This alchemy furnace is full of purple light, and the moment it appears, it is full of Emperor's spirit. It is obviously the same grade as Ji Ying's alchemy furnace, both of which are Emperor-level alchemy furnaces. This can't help but make Ji Ying startled, as if she didn't expect Yang Kai to have such a background. But after thinking about it, if Yang Kai is really an Emperor alchemist, it is normal to have an Emperor-grade pill stove. The only thing that puzzled Ji Ying was that this alchemy stove looked familiar. Ji Ying was sure that she had never seen this alchemy stove. If she had, she would definitely recognize it. The duel was imminent, and he didn't have the time to think about it, so he quickly immersed himself in it. Even if the opponent was a young man who didn't know the heights of the sky and the earth, he didn't take it lightly, and the lion fought the rabbit with all his strength. Bringing out one's true ability and defeating him in all aspects is the respect for alchemy and the response to the teacher's teachings for many years. Let's start. Ji Ying turned to look at Yang Kai with a solemn expression. Yang Kai was about to nod his head when he suddenly cast his eyes aside and said with a smile, "Sect Master Mi and Master Li, don't you want to make a bet too?" "We can also bet." Mickey and Li Jiao looked at each other, quite surprised. "It's all here, are you two willing to return empty-handed?" Yang Kai looked at them with a smile. "Okay." Mickey snorted, "We place a bet, but we don't know how big the bet Palace Master Yang can take. As big as it is, it's okay to bet on the foundation of the sect." Yang Kai said casually. "What?" Mi Chi and Li Jiao's expressions changed when they heard this. They were startled by Yang Kai's words. It's too big to bet on the foundation of the sect. Although Mi Chi and Li Jiao wanted to make trouble and cut a few pieces of meat from Yang Kai, they dared not even think about betting on the foundation of the sect. Even if they had full confidence in Ji Ying, they would not dare to gamble like this. "You two don't dare." Yang Kai looked at them contemptuously. "It's not that I dare not, but it's unnecessary, and we have no grievances or enmities, so why play so big?" Mickey said firmly, but in fact he was feeling guilty. Yeah, just play around. Since that's the case, how do those two think they should bet to bear it? Yang Kai asked. Mi Chi and Li Jiao looked at each other, their spiritual thoughts surged, as if they were communicating something. Yang Kai was not in a hurry, he just stood aside and waited, smiling at Ji Ying and saying, "The weather is good today." Ji Ying frowned, thinking that this is nonsense, the sky is clear outside, even a fool can see it. But why did he tell himself this? Could it be that he wanted to interfere with his state of mind? Really insidious. Can't help but glared at Yang Kai, looking at his nose and heart. "Master Yang, I have discussed it with Brother Li," Mickey suddenly said. Yang Kai stretched out his hand to signal. Mi Chi said, "Brother Li and I have bet on the profits of our respective sects for 10 years. I wonder if Sect Master Yang will dare to accept it." Even Ji Ying was slightly moved when she heard this bet. Although the 10-year income of each sect is simple to say, if it is converted into source crystals, it is an extremely terrifying figure. Top sects such as Mi Tianzong and Lilong Palace have countless industries and their own source crystal veins, etc., and their annual income is at least 50 million high-grade source crystals. 10 years, that's 500 million high-grade source crystals. The words of the two sects are 1 billion. This number is simply terrifying. It seems that Mickey and Li Jiao are also ruthless, and want to get some benefits from Lingxiao Palace. Ji Ying turned her head to look at Yang Kai, wondering what his expression is now. It should be, "You don't look very good, right?" At a glance, Ji Ying was stunned. Yang Kai curled his lips in disdain, and sneered, "The two are also well-known figures in the Northern Territory, so they are so stingy." Stingy. Mickey's face darkened. How dare you say we are stingy? Li Jiao squinted his eyes and said, could it be that Palace Master Yang is playing tricks, and actually dare not take this bet? He thought he had seen through Yang Kai's thoughts, and he spoke in a strange way. 50 years. Yang Kai said loudly, raising a hand, I'll bet with you for 50 years, and each sect will earn 50 years. Hiss. Mickey and Li Jiao both gasped. Ji Ying also stared at Yang Kai with big eyes, looking at Yang Kai like a madman. You. Mickey's mouth was a little uneasy, which showed that his mood fluctuated violently. Do you know how much MIT Onzong's income has been in 50 years? How dare you boast so much? The old god Yang Kai said. You count 50 million high-grade source crystals a year, 500 million in 10 years, 2.5 billion in 50 years. The two sects are only 5 billion. But, 5 billion, Li Jiao was almost choked to death by Yang Kai's big words. He really wanted to ask Yang Kai, do you know what 5 billion high-grade source crystals are? Yang Kai sneered and looked at them with disdain. Why, you two don't dare to gamble anymore? Or do you have no confidence in Master Ji? The first sentence is nothing, but the latter sentence is serious. If they really retreat from this, isn't it just like Yang Kai said, they have no confidence in Ji Ying? This matter can be big or small, maybe it will offend Ji Ying. How insidious and cunning! Li Jiao and Mi's teeth itched with hatred. Naturally, when things come to an end, we can't back down, Li Jiao snorted coldly. Brother Mickey and I have no problem, 50 years will be 50 years, I just don't know if Palace Master Yang will bet so much. Exactly. Mickey nodded approvingly. 5 billion high-grade source crystals is not a small amount. If the time comes, if Palace Master Yang reneges on the debt, what will Brother Li and I do to you? Joke. Yang Kai pointed to his nose and said, I'm like the kind of person who doesn't believe what he says. Mi and Li Jiao looked at him seriously, and the latter said, we don't know each other well. Who knows who you are? Okay. Yang Kai's exasperated look made Mi and Li Jiao feel that he was playing tricks. Mickey laughed loudly and said, if Palace Master Yang can place a corresponding bet, what's the matter with Brother Li and I? This is what you said, don't regret it. Yang Kai said with a jump. Take it, Li Jiao urged as if he had seen through Yang Kai's appearance. I'll take it now, Yang Kai shouted. Take it. Take it. Yang Kai stretched out his hand and turned it over, and a space ring appeared on the palm of his hand, attracting everyone's attention. To be continued. The source of this book is A&A at C1 half http://www.vodtw.com/html/7/7178/index.html. Chapter 2732 Really Emperor Alchemist. Really took it out. Mi and Li Jiao looked at each other, slightly shocked, but more distrustful. Although Yang Kai destroyed the Wenqing sect, occupied the Wenqing sect's foundation, and gained the wealth accumulated by the Wenqing sect for many years, they didn't think that Yang Kai's ring really contained 5 billion high-grade source crystals. The Wenqing sect is almost the same as the Lilanggong mission sect. Although the annual income is astonishing, the family has a big business and the consumption is extremely terrifying. Most of the income is consumed every year, and only a small part will be accumulated. Even for MIT Onzong and Lilong Palace, the current storage of high-grade source crystals is only 1 billion, and it is almost the same if you want to ask the Qingzong. In other words, even if Yang Kai obtained Wenqing sect's wealth, he would only have 1 billion high-grade source crystals, plus the source crystals converted from other treasures, the total would be 2 to 3 billion, how could there be 5 billion or so? Many. I don't trust Palace Master Yang, but Brother Li and I have to check Palace Master Yang's ring. Mickey said in a deep voice. Of course it needs to be checked. Yang Kai nodded, but I want to bother Master Ji to check. Master Ji is still trustworthy, right? Naturally. Mickey nodded quickly. Naturally, Li Jiao had no objection. Then there is Master Lao Ji. Yang Kai smiled and threw the ring to Ji Yingying. Ji Yingying took it, and glanced inward with her mind casually. The next moment, her eyes widened suddenly, and she said in a shocked expression, this. He is an alchemist of the Emperor, and he is not short of wealth. There are countless people in the entire Northern Territory who want to ask him to make alchemy. Every time he does alchemy, he can get a lot of income. Let alone 5 billion high-grade source crystals, even 10 billion is not enough to make Ji Shengying so shocked. But at this moment, he was so excited that he couldn't even say a word, and his expression clearly showed that he had seen something extremely incredible. Michi and Li Jiao were both surprised when they saw it, thinking what good thing was in this ring that made Master Ji lose his composure. They were extremely curious, but they were too embarrassed to take it to see. They didn't think that Yang Kai would let them see it, otherwise they wouldn't let Ji Yingying check the ring. You, where did you get so much? Ji Yingying turned her head and looked at Yang Kai in amazement. Yang Kai chuckled, took the space ring back from Ji Yingying's hand, shook his head and said, "You can't say it, you can't say it." Ji Yingying swallowed her saliva, watching the ring being put away by Yang Kai, but she also knew that this should be Yang Kai's secret, so she was embarrassed to ask more. After hesitating for a while, he said, "Palace Master Yang, if you lose in the alchemy competition this time, I don't want your head anymore. How about you share half of those things with me?" Originally, he didn't plan to kill Yang Kai, just to frighten him, but now that he sees something better, he naturally has to change the bet. The ring is not filled with other things, but the million inner alchemy that Yang Kai brought out from the wild ancient land. 10 billion source crystals is indeed not enough to move Ji Shunying, but this million inner alchemy is different. There are so many inner alchemy piled up together, and there is no lack of 12th level inner alchemy, not to mention that Ji Shunying has never seen it, even the 10 emperors have never seen it. What's more, the inner alchemy is infinitely useful. When alchemists are refining alchemy, they often need to use the inner alchemy of monsters as medicine. A good inner alchemy is equal to a perfect medicine primer, which can produce an excellent panacea. This thing is more attractive to Ji Shunying than Yuanjing, no wonder he is so surprised. Master Ji wants it. Yang Kai looked at him with a smile. Ji Yingying blushed, coughed dryly and said, "This is such a good thing, which alchemist doesn't want it? If you want, I can give it all to you." Yang Kai smiled unabated. Really? Ji Yingying was startled, but quickly realized, and said with a calm face, "Isn't it because you want Ji to make alchemy for you in Lingxiao Palace?" Yang Kai laughed loudly and said, "Master Ji's eyes are like torches." Ji Yingying snorted, "Master Yang has a good idea, but it's a pity that Ji won't agree." Yang Kai had already expected this, so naturally he would not be disappointed, nodded and said, "In this case, if Master Ji wins, I will share half of this thing with you." Okay, this is what you said. I hope Palace Master Yang can keep his word." Ji Tongying was overjoyed. In his opinion, it was as if Yang Kai was giving him inner alchemy. He never thought that he would lose to Yang Kai in alchemy. "Master Ji, can the things in the ring be worth 5 billion? Li Jiao and Michi listened for a while, but they still didn't know how much the things in the ring were worth, so they couldn't help asking. 5 billion. Ji Yingying glanced at them with disdain, and said calmly, "The contents in that ring are enough to buy your 2 sects." What? Mickey and Li Jiao turned pale with shock. It is enough to buy 2 sects. What kind of treasure is in the ring? Master Ji is so sure about it. I became more and more curious in my heart. I wish I could knock Yang Kai out now, and grab the ring to see what happened. My palace master's bet has been confirmed. Do you two want to bet? Yang Kai turned his head to look at Michi and Li Jiao. Mickey frowned, and said with a firm expression, "Gamble, why not bet? How can you not get the benefits of giving away for nothing?" "That's right," Li Jiao said seriously, "I trust Master Ji." Ji Yingying frowned, and said, "If you want to bet, it is your own business, the outcome has nothing to do with me. Alchemy is not for gambling." The reason why he agreed to gamble with Yang Kai was mainly because he was angry with Yang Kai, and naturally he didn't want Li Jiao and Mickey to be tied to his own victory or defeat, making it look like he won. It's all his responsibility. Yes, Master Ji is right. Li Jiao quickly changed his words, "This is just a bet between Brother Mickey and Palace Master Yang. In this case, let's start." Yang Kai smiled slightly. Ji Henjing turned to look at him, and said, "You go first." Yang Kai said in a deep voice, "Master Ji underestimates the opponent. Is it really good?" Even though he said so, his hands were not idle. He stretched out his hands to wipe his hair on his temples, and put on a posture of doing something special, snapped his fingers like silk, and the Zixu cauldron flew out immediately. A plant had been prepared a long time ago. The elixir flew into the cauldron in an instant. With a whistling sound, there seemed to be a flame burning, and the temperature in the air suddenly increased, but the strange thing was that there was no trace of Yang Kai urging Emperor Yuan. Fire of divine consciousness. Ji Yingying's complexion changed, and she exclaimed in a low voice. He didn't expect Yang Kai to have the fire of divine consciousness. This alone is enough to make him pay attention. The fire of consciousness is a kind of mutated consciousness. Those who possess the fire of consciousness have a unique advantage in refining alchemy tools, because in the process of alchemy, consciousness plays a very important role, whether to control the heat or to grasp the timing of investing in the elixir, both require the inspection of the divine mind. And those who have the fire of divine consciousness can directly adjust the size of the fire, and their grasp of the timing of the elixir is as good as the peak. Even in the depiction of the spirit formation, there is no need for any carrier, and the formation is carved in the air. This is unmatched by other alchemists. So that's the case, no wonder you are full of self-confidence, there is such a thing as the fire of divine consciousness. Suddenly, Ji Yingying understood where Yang Kai's support was, and his expression suddenly became solemn. Without any hesitation, his hands flew up, and the Emperor Wen Yuan urged it to move. A ball of gentle fire immediately rose from the three-legged double dragon cauldron. The same elixir was thrown into the alchemy furnace by Ji Hanying, and there was a chirping sound, and the seals of Ji Yingying's hands changed, and he drew a spiritual formation in the alchemy furnace to help condense the medicinal liquid. For a time, there was no sound in the hall, only Yang Kai and Ji Yuying were surging, and the two alchemy furnaces exuded scorching energy. Mi Qi and Li Jiao wanted to come up to take a look, but they were stopped by the three demon kings Qi, staring at them. When alchemists are refining alchemy, they are most afraid of being disturbed by others. The three demon kings are naturally extremely guarded against these two guys, lest they use any means to interfere with Yang Kai. This made Mickey and Li Jiao blew their beards and stared, but there was nothing they could do. Can Palace Master win? Hua Qingxi and Zhu Qing stood side by side not far away, watching silently. Yang Kai was actually dueling with Ji Yingying in alchemy, which made Hua Qingxi very unsure, and asked Zhu Qing quietly. I don't know alchemy, Zhu Qing replied lightly. Hua Qingxi thought it was the same, although she had seen people practice alchemy, but she knew nothing about alchemy, so she couldn't see who had the upper hand in the situation. But look at his demeanor, he seems very confident, Zhu Qing added. Hua Qingxi heard the words, and quickly observed Yang Kai carefully, and found that as Zhu Qing said, Yang Kai's expression was full of confidence and high fighting spirit. If he had no hope of winning, he would never have such an expression. This discovery made Hua Qingxi feel relieved, secretly cheering for Yang Kai. Chi 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 chi. The sound of the furnace fire was endless, and the hands of the two people who were competing in alchemy were constantly flying, and the seals were changing one after another. The exquisite and small spiritual formations were disillusioned in the alchemy furnace, and the elixir was thrown into it. The aroma of the condensed medicinal liquid soon permeated. Ji Yingying has been quietly paying attention to Yang Kai's movements, although Yang Kai has the fire of spiritual consciousness and should not be underestimated, but Ji Yingying still feels that it is impossible for him to defeat him. However, some observation made Ji Yingying confirm one thing. This Yang Kai is really an emperor alchemist, and his basic skills are extremely solid, because his movements of condensing the medicinal liquid are meticulous, without any disorder, and the condensed medicinal liquid is also perfect. Extremely pure. If it weren't for the emperor alchemist, it would be impossible to achieve this level. Secretly rejoicing, another emperor alchemist appeared in this world. If this news is told to the master should be very happy. The way of alchemy has a long history and is broad and profound, and it is more difficult to be promoted than martial arts. The number is rare. Others only see the boundless scenery of the alchemist, how can they discover the hard work behind it? Medicine Pill Valley is committed to carrying forward the Tao of alchemy, and several disciples under the seat of Emperor Miao Dan also take it as their own responsibility. Naturally, they hope that there are more alchemists in the world, the better. Only by keeping up can the cultivation level improve rapidly. To be continued. Chapter 2733. Looking at it, Ji Ying was slightly stunned, because he was shocked to find that the medicinal liquid condensed by Yang Kai was not weaker than himself in terms of purity. What shocked him even more was that Yang Kai's timing and order of injecting the elixir was exactly the same as his own. Novella. A kind of panacea, not only one prescription. Each alchemist has different perceptions of the way of alchemy, and has different personal preferences and abilities. This also leads to some subtle differences in the process of refining alchemy, such as the order and timing of elixir delivery. Some alchemists think it is better to put in this kind of elixir first, and some alchemists think it is better to put in that kind of elixir first. Herbs are not the same. Pill recipes do not only contain the materials needed for alchemy. A complete pill recipe not only includes medicinal materials, but also includes the refining process. It can be said that a pill recipe is equivalent to a complete alchemy manual. This is the preciousness of the alchemy formula, and it is also the crystallization of the painstaking efforts of the alchemists. But now, Ji Ying was surprised to find that Yang Kai's method and process of refining the Emperor Yuan pill had striking similarities with her, and it could almost be said that it was carved out of a template. In other words, the Emperor Yuan pill recipe that Yang Kai has mastered is the same as what he knows. How is this possible? Emperor Yuan pill is the panacea used by Di Zunjing to restore Di Yuan, and it is also the most common type of imperial panacea. According to Ji Ying's knowledge, there are 8 or no 10 copies of this panacea. Much the same, but there are some differences. And the best Yuan pill formula is naturally mastered by himself, because this pill formula was personally improved by Emperor Miao Dan many years ago. It can be said that there is no other better pill formula in this world. Emperor Miao Dan only taught this pill formula to a few of his disciples, and no outsiders have ever learned it. Now seeing traces of this pill in Yang Kai's hand, Ji Ying was naturally surprised. Small a said AAAA. _. Not only Ji Ying was amazed, but the other onlookers also had strange expressions. Because they discovered that Yang Kai and Ji Ying were in the process of alchemy. Almost exactly the same, the difference is that Yang Kai moves a little faster, and Ji Ying moves slowly. This is not because Ji Ying's alchemy skills are inferior to Yang Kai's, but because of his slow start. Even though he understands this point, it feels wrong in his eyes, as if Ji Ying is imitating Yang Kai's alchemy. He will take whatever medicinal materials Yang Kai takes. When did Yang Kai put the medicinal materials into the pill furnace, and when did he put the medicinal materials into the pill furnace? The doubts in Ji Ying's heart became more and more intense. He thought this situation was just a coincidence, but it was not until the middle of the practice that he was sure that the alchemy recipes mastered by the two were really the same. Where did you get this elixir? Ji Ying couldn't help asking. This is the alchemy recipe passed down by the master. How could it fall into the hands of outsiders? Master Ji, you are distracted. Yang Kai's expression remained unchanged. If this continues, you will lose this competition. Ji Ying was shocked, startled in a cold sweat. Just now he was just wondering about Yang Kai's pill formula, but he was a little distracted, which caused him not to do his best in the process of condensing the medicinal liquid. Now, looking at it, his own medicinal liquid seems to be worse than Yang Kai's. Concentrating medicinal liquid is the first step in alchemy, and it is also the most important and basic step. If this step is not done well, it will definitely affect the quality of the alchemy. Alchemy is like playing chess. If you make a wrong move, if any detail is not done well, it will be a failure. Can't lose. This is a battle about the medicine pill valley. In a competition that concerns the honor of the master, one must not lose. With a startled expression, Ji Ying seemed to be a different person, exuding an indescribable aura. His mind was immersed in alchemy all of a sudden, and there was nothing else in his eyes. Yang Kai's expression is also extremely serious, although he is the Emperor Alchemy Master, but it is the first time to compete with other Emperor Alchemy Masters, and this person is also the direct disciple of Emperor Miao Dan. Ai Shaoa said If you can't go all out, you will definitely not win. The reliance he has. It's not the fire of consciousness that Ji Ying saw, it's just a small advantage of him. His real reliance is that Dao Danyan. At that time, on the main Xingzhaoyuexing of the Hengluo Chamber of Commerce, he used alchemy to introduce the alchemy sound of the Dao, and he was taught the art of alchemy by Mingming Tiandao. Since then, Yang Kai has soared in the way of alchemy. If it weren't for such a chance, how could Yang Kai advance so quickly in the way of alchemy? He hasn't spent much time on alchemy in these years. Generally speaking, it is a fluke for him to become a Daoyuan level alchemist at this time, and it is absolutely impossible to become an emperor alchemist. But the background that Dao Danyan gave him allowed him to easily climb to the level of emperor alchemist. Even so, he can't compare with veteran emperor alchemists like Ji Ying in terms of experience, so he can only go all out. The mind suddenly became ethereal, and the whole person seemed to be integrated into the world, and a wonderful feeling rose from his heart. The movement of Yang Kai's hands changed, and he suddenly danced like he had epilepsy. Kai, this appearance made Li Zhao and Mi Qi almost burst out laughing, but under the watchful eyes of the three big demon kings, they could only endure it. Looking at Ji Ying again, His movements are flowing and flowing, meticulous, just looking at it is a kind of enjoyment, and Yang Kai's performance like a ghost is almost the same as the world, and the judgment is judged. Just want to beat Master Ji. I just don't know the heights of the sky and the depths of the earth. Watching C also discovered this, and she couldn't help showing a look of anxiety on her face. She didn't know what Yang Kai was doing. His performance was good before, why suddenly it seemed like a different person. Okay. All the people present, only one, suddenly stared at Yang Kai intently, with a look of shock on his face. His eyes didn't move for a moment. This man is Ji Ying's eldest disciple. This big disciple didn't have a good impression of Yang Kai at all, not because of Li Zan's slander to Yang Kai, but because of Yang Kai. Li Zan was expelled from the sect by his master, even though he didn't like Li Zan before all kinds of deeds, but after all the brothers have been brothers for many years, they still have some feelings. He originally wanted to wait for the master's anger to pass, and then persuade him to take Li Zan back under the sect. After all, the younger brother is still young, how can he not make mistakes? He just needs to repent when he does something wrong, but he hates Yang Kai for not giving him a chance. Yang Kai and Ji Ying's competition, he was very disdainful in his heart. He didn't think Yang Kai could win, and he kept watching him with a kind of hatred, wanting to see what kind of expression he would have when he was defeated by his master. Unexpectedly, after looking at it, I saw something extraordinary. In other people's eyes, Yang Kai twitched like crazy, waving his hands randomly, without aesthetic feeling at all, but in his eyes, there was another completely different feeling. In the dark, he vaguely grasped something, but when he wanted to grab it, he couldn't catch it, which made his forehead sweat in a hurry, and he watched Yang Kai carefully with his wide eyes, refusing to let go of the slightest bit. In the main hall, the scent of the medicine became more intense. All the elixir were thrown into the alchemy furnace by the two of them, condensed into a pure medicinal liquid, and the lid of the furnace was sealed. It has reached the stage of cultivating alchemy. The power was released one after another, and inside the alchemy furnace that no one could see, the spiritual formations popped up and disappeared, and various medicinal liquids mixed in it, producing magical changes. Plop! Ji Ying's eldest disciple suddenly knelt on the ground. This change surprised everyone except Yang Kai and Ji Ying. Watching C fixed her eyes and saw that this big disciple was sweating profusely, as if he had just encountered a life and death fight. His face was pale, his eyes were bloodshot, but he was still staring at Yang Kai. What's wrong? Watching C quickly walked to him, trying to help him up. This person is Ji Ying's eldest disciple. If something unexpected happened here, it would be hard to explain to Ji Ying. Don't touch me, the eldest disciple yelled, with veins on his forehead, looking extremely frightening. Watching Ci's outstretched hand froze in place. She was very annoyed. She didn't know why this guy was crazy. Oh, Yang Kai sneaked a glance at the big disciple, grinned at him and said, "You actually see something famous. Take a good look. What you can realize depends on your own good fortune." On the side, Mi and Li Jiao stared at the words, curled their lips in disdain, thinking that this guy really dares to talk big. He is Ji Ying's big disciple. Even if he wants to learn something, he won't look for you, so what are you worrying about? What's more, with these two brushes of yours, I'm afraid that you are not as good as other big disciples, and you dare to speak so brazenly, and you are not afraid of Feng Da's tongue flashing. As soon as the thought was finished, the disciple gritted his teeth, widened his eyes, and said in a clanging voice, "Thank you, Master Yang." What? Li Jiao and Mickey were stunned. They looked at each other, and they both saw the shock in each other's eyes. What's the matter with this big disciple? He is actually thanking Yang Kai, and even calling him Master Yang. This is impossible, right? His master is right in front of him. Isn't he afraid that his master will be angry? What exactly happened here? Although Ji Ying was engrossed, she was also startled by her disciple. Hearing that he respected Yang Kai so much, she couldn't help but frown, thinking that the little bastard actually turned his elbows outward at this time, raising you for so many years in vain. Out of curiosity, he glanced at Yang Kai again. With a glance, the movement of Ji Ying's hands stopped, her eyes slowly widened, and she even forgot the elixir warmed in the alchemy furnace. His attainment in alchemy is countless times superior to that of his disciples, and his disciples can see some tricks, so it is impossible for a master not to see it. In his eyes, what he saw was not Yang Kai's weird movements, his hands dancing like a convulsion, but a road leading to the peak of alchemy. Yang Kai's movements are natural and coincident with Pil Dao, and there seems to be a kind of truth that he can't fathom. He has only seen this kind of situation in his master Miao Dan the Great, and he never thought that today he would be lucky enough to find similar traces in another person. To be continued. Chapter 2734. Shock. In Ji Ying's heart, a turbulent sea broke out like a storm. How could there be such a heaven-defying existence in this world? To be able to figure out the essence of alchemy like a master. A small. A say www. Eoshish ua. No, even master, it is impossible for him to achieve this achievement at his age. Ji Ying was completely stunned, with an indescribable feeling that the person who was competing with him in alchemy was not the young man named Yang Kai, but the Tao that he had been pursuing but could not grasp. How can this be one? My heart suddenly became a little messy, and there was a chi-chi sound in the three-legged double dragon cauldron. Master Ji, you, Li Jiao and Mi exclaimed in unison. Although they don't know alchemy and don't know much about it, but Ji Ying's state at the moment is obviously not right. From the change of his face, it can't be seen that there is something wrong with his mood. Is this worth it? If Ji Ying had lost in this competition, he would not have lost much, but the two of them have overwhelmed the gains of 50 years of their respective sects. If they lose, in the next 50 years, the disciples of the two sects will probably have to tighten their belts to live. Ji Ying was startled, and suddenly realized that she was still in the middle of the competition, and she felt annoyed and ashamed. This is the second time he has been distracted, and it is bound to have some impact on the whole alchemy, but after all, he has profound skills, so he quickly suppressed the furnace fire to save him. Forcing herself to calm down and throw away all distracting thoughts, under the great pressure, Ji Ying's movements suddenly became much smoother. He actually felt a little faint. The big disciple still stared at Yang Kai's movements with wide-eyed eyes, the bloodshot eyes became denser, and his whole body trembled, as if he had suffered a huge torture, but his expression was extremely exciting. As time passed, wisps of elixir fragrance overflowed. This was not the aroma of pure elixir, but the aroma of elixir. When this aroma comes out, it means that the refining has reached the final stage, as long as there are no mistakes. A Xiao said AA. The panacea can be practiced. The more the last moment, the more nervous Mi and Li Jiao became. They didn't know if Ji Ying could beat Yang Kai. Originally they had full confidence in Ji Ying. But Ji Ying's unstable mood just now made them a little uneasy, wondering if the change just now would affect the quality of the final panacea. After another hour, the aroma of the medicine in the hall was as strong as it was, and Yang Kai's shifting hands suddenly stopped with a solemn expression. Shaking and lifting the Zixu cauldron, he shouted loudly, "Get up! Receive the pill." Everyone's face was condensed, knowing that Yang Kai's panacea has reached the final stage. This process is also an extremely important step in alchemy. A good method of collecting alchemy will definitely allow the alchemist to refine more elixir with higher quality. On the other side, Ji Ying also took a false photo of his alchemy furnace, and the furnace cover flew out, and he also entered the stage of collecting alchemy. Looking at this scene, Mickey and Li Jiao couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. They know, to get to this point, Yang Kai must not be able to win against Ji Ying, because the method of collecting alchemy mastered by Ji Ying was handed down by the great emperor. Even if Yang Kai had some chances and became an emperor alchemist, it is impossible for him to have a better alchemy than Ji Ying judgment. The two didn't dare to pretend to understand, and quickly looked at the eldest disciple, trying to get some clues from his expression. At a glance, the two hearts fell straight down. It's just that at this moment, the big disciple is still watching Yang Kai's movements, and the two bloodshot eyeballs burst out with a light of surprise, but he turned a blind eye to his master. No way, could it be that Yang Kai is also more powerful in collecting pills? Otherwise, why didn't this big disciple take this opportunity to learn from his master's techniques? Instead, pay attention to Yang Kai. It must be because this big disciple is not good at learning skills and lacks vision. Mi and Li Jiao comforted themselves. Even if Ji Ying was distracted twice during the alchemy competition, they still had great expectations for Ji Ying. The Nine Heavens Profound Pill was decided to use. E-novel, a series of seals are finally shot into the Zixu cauldron, making the last step of alchemy perfect. This is exactly Yang Kai's method of harvesting pills that Yang Kai learned from the great Dao Dan Yin. Even compared to the method created by the great emperor himself, it is slightly better. Jingle Bella A. Suddenly, a very pleasant sound sounded in the alchemy furnace. Dan Cheng. Yang Kai dodged and slapped the purple void cauldron, and a string of round spirit pills flew out. Mi and Li Jiao stared wide-eyed. He wanted to see how many pills Yang Kai had made and their quality, but before he could see clearly, he put them into the jade bottle prepared in advance by Yang Kai. This can't help but make the two of them itch with hatred. On the other side, Ji Ying also began to collect the pills, and after finishing the last spell, several Emperor Yuan pills flew up from the pill furnace, and he grabbed them casually and threw them into the jade bottle in his left hand. Finish the exercise. Yang Kai pressed his hands together, his breath sank to his dantian, and let out a light breath. Ji Ying stood there motionless, frowning tightly, as if he was thinking about something, and his big disciple closed his eyes the moment Yang Kai finished refining, and knelt there like a sculpture. It seems that the mind is wandering away. This made Michi and Li Jiao very anxious. They couldn't wait to know the result of this competition. Although they thought it was unlikely that Ji Ying would lose, they were still a little nervous when it came to the end. After all, it is related to the income of their respective sects for 50 years, which is a total of 5 billion high-grade source crystals. Ji Ying didn't move, and Yang Kai didn't want to disturb him, knowing that he was considering the gains and losses of this alchemy. This is an extremely important moment for an alchemist. Watching from left to right, Zhu Qing, who was looking at him, squeezed away. Squeeze your eyes. Zhu Qing's face was as cold as an ice lump. How could she pay attention to him, and made him feel bored? After a long time, Ji Ying Kai breathed a sigh of relief, turned around and cupped his fists at Yang Kai and said, "Brother Yang is highly skilled." Ji Mo bows down. After competing with Yang Kai, Ji Ying immediately understood that she had really underestimated him before. He was not only an emperor alchemist, but also an emperor alchemist whose skill was not weaker than her own. He only had a glimpse of the wonderful alchemy process, but he was astonished. If it wasn't for the fact that the competition this time was too important, he couldn't help but stop the refining process and observe it carefully. No matter whether we win or lose this time, Ji must thank Brother Yang. Ji Ying said sincerely, and glanced at her eldest disciple. Knowing that Yang Kai is an emperor alchemist who is not inferior to him, Ji Ying's name for him has changed. Moreover, this big disciple of himself has gained a lot at first glance, so he should naturally thank others. Before, he always called Palace Master Yang, but now he became closer. It's easy to say, Brother Ji is polite. Yang Kai smiled slightly. Li Jiao and Michi looked dumbfounded, thinking that something is wrong. Shouldn't Ji Ying come to trouble Yang Kai this time? Why are they suddenly called brothers now? Even the two of us, who have known Ji Ying for many years, dare not call him that. I couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. If I knew this was the case, I wouldn't have come with me. Master Ji, let's take a look at the results of the competition first. Michi changed the topic so that Yang Kai and Ji Ying would not continue to entice each other. As long as Ji Ying wins this competition, it will definitely be worth their trip. The sect's 50-year income, it's exciting to think about it. The two of them were still very curious about what was in Yang Kai's ring, and they wanted to know what it was, which was so highly valued and valued by Ji Ying. Ji Ying looked at Yang Kai inquisitively. Yang Kai smiled slightly, stretched out his hand and said, "The visitor is a guest, Brother Ji please." Ji Ying nodded and said, "Then I won't be polite." While speaking, he uncovered the jade bottle in his hand and poured out the Emperor Yuan pill from it. All the people in the hall stretched their necks and looked towards his palm. 9 pieces. Mickey glanced at them, and immediately exclaimed excitedly. This time, Ji Yingcheng made 9 pills, which is the ultimate number of pills in a furnace, and this is basically half of the victory. The rest depends on the quality of the panacea, but the quality of the panacea refined by Ji Ying will definitely not be that bad. This can be seen from the fact that these panacea are round and full, and their color is clear. Look and see. Li Jiao seemed to have discovered the new continent, pointing to one of the Emperor Yuan pills, breathing quickly. Pill pattern, it's a pill pattern. One of the 9 spirit pills is covered with grains on the surface. At first glance, it looks like the veins of a human body. It is the legendary pill pattern. If a panacea produces pill veins during the refining process, the efficacy of the medicine will be doubled directly, and its value will naturally increase. However, not everyone can refine alchemy pattern. Even for the most skilled alchemists, it is something that can be encountered but not sought after. But now, among the elixir refined by Ji Ying, there is an elixir with pill patterns. And it's an emperor-level panacea. This is becoming more and more commendable and shocking. Ha ha ha. Mickey also laughed, and the heart he had been holding was finally put back in his stomach. If it is said that Ji Yingcheng only won half of the 9 pills, then this pill with the pill pattern will let this one win. Victory is the final conclusion, and Yang Kai has no chance of turning the tables. You don't even need to look at the quality of the panacea he refined. Mickey doesn't believe that Yang Kai can also refine a spirit pill with pill patterns. If the alchemy pattern is really so easy to refine, it is not called the alchemy pattern. Glancing at each other with Li Jiao, both of them were delighted, extremely happy. 5 billion high-grade source crystals, 50 years of sect income, and they are about to get it, so how could the two of them be unhappy? Secretly decided that after Yang Kai fulfilled his bet, he would buy the Emperor Yuan pill with pill mark from Ji Ying's hand. Gong and Yang Kai don't even think about raising their heads in front of them. Of course, you can also sell it to Ji Ying by the way. Do you want to humiliate Yang Kai by the way? Looking at the three big demon kings who have been standing by the side, staring at each other, the two of them think about it or forget it, lest they become angry from embarrassment, and the two of them are really not rivals. To be continued.